Hello, hello, hello. We do be here. Let me just adjust the camera a little bit. Okay, so yeah, we are back for yet another stream. And this should be... What the fuck is wrong with my microphone? It's like... It's not picking me up for some reason. Hello, 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 hello. Okay. I guess if I'm a little bit too quiet or too loud, you need to tell me because my mic readings are like a little bit fucked up. Don't know what's that about. We rewatched some reboot after last stream. The show has the best wise words from a sage-like character ever. What the fuck is going on with my phone? Hello? Can we get like fucking... anything done today? What the hell? That's so weird. My phone is like stuck in battery saver mode. I never had a problem like this before. Broken friendships are best mended through tragedy or apology. Other character, what does that mean? Sage, I don't know, but you should ponder my words. And then he leaves. That's kind of funny, but also very nice. And I'm sorry, but like the best wise words from a sage-like character, you ain't taking that title. Like, no matter how good your show is, you ain't taking that title from fucking Uncle Iroh from Avatar. Like, he's just fucking untouchable in that regards. So yeah, I picked out some videos from the last stream. Well, it's mostly just me. It's mostly just me doing reactions from things that were requested 2 weeks ago. So we essentially have a queue of videos lined up now. So of course I had to pick out two Mandalore things because that's just how things work on the channel now. For like every non-Mandalore video, I gotta watch a Mandalore video because then, whenever I react to something that doesn't take off on the channel, like I can always trust Mandalore to bring it back, which is nice. And yeah, the request that was made like 2 weeks ago, a game called ADOM and the Legacy of Roguelikes kind of piqued my interest, so I was like, sure. Another, like, that was not a chatter, but a commenter under a video requested another Jacob Geller video, and he specifically suggested his newest one about, I'm assuming, graphics in video games, because yeah, that makes sense. That's a topic that's like, that has such a weird debate around it, because the best looking game in 98 was, Metal Gear Solid 1, and now Metal Gear Solid 1 looks like shit, but and yeah, then there was last stream there was a suggestion from somebody who doesn't like regularly tune into the chat, and he suggested like 3 different channels, and I was like, I kind of focused on one of them, the Tech Sneakerer, because I was like, I kinda know that nickname, and I checked out his channel, and I was right. I watched like his every single video on Dead Rising. Tech Sneakerer has a fucking amazing amazing videos about that series, which is near and dear to my heart. Um but all of his videos are so fucking long. I don't think I will ever react to anything of his on the channel, sadly. So I will have to go back and like see what the other 2 channels are about. And when it comes to the reboot suggestion made by Ulich, I don't think I'm gonna watch it on the stream too. Maybe in my like own private time, if I get curious enough. But when it comes to here on the stream, I'm like good with just Woolies. Uh, with just Woolies kind of a little recap. That was a nice video, and yeah. That's where I'm gonna leave that off. Probably do some more on my own whether it comes to watching the show, or yeah, videos about its technical side, because that does sound interesting, but probably not interesting enough for the stream, because I also have to think about what people are well, what would they want to watch. um There's some fun bits. They managed to sneak past sensors. At one point, Hexadecimal is watching Bob from a rotating camera as he tries to stop her plan. At first she goes, oh no, 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 but then he passes the camera in a way that briefly focuses on his ass, and she goes, oh yes. The sensors did allow the villain to be a little... The sensors did allow villains to be a little more sexy too, because they thought sex was immoral. That's kind of fucking... That's so backwards, though. Man, that's why when we were watching that reboot video, I said that it's a fucked up situation to be making a show like that, because like whatever the censor deems immoral or wrong, you just have to work with. Like, he literally can give his own personal opinion as a fact that something is wrong and cannot be in a children's show, because like who the fuck can truly, like, there are certain things that are morally like very easy to pick out, like it's just black and white. This is immoral to show to children, right? But then you get into nitty gritty, and it's like, man, good old 90s conservative values, yeah, basically. Fucking A, man. And yeah, we're gonna start out with the Mandalore gaming thingy, and I picked out the video that you suggested that you said nobody and you never seen anybody react to this, so I was kind of curious. I have no idea what this game is, and like Metal Fatigue, that was an RTS mentioned in his Alien vs Predator video that we watched last time. So yeah, should be some good content, hopefully. The only thing I'm not really 100%. The only thing I'm not 100% sure about is the game called ADOM and the Legacy of Roguelikes, because I have not seen a Doshington production ever, I think. Huh, that's kind of funny. Like he seems to do a lot of just playthrough, like let's play highly edited commentary things, I assume. But then he actually does like essay style videos in between. Like things about farming simulators, or the thing we're about to watch about ADOM. I'm just mostly curious because it's a video about a really old roguelike, and I wanna see how that looked like back then, because I cannot imagine it's gonna be like all smooth and shit, because you know what the games in the 90s, early like 90s, late 80s, like how those games were. They were just fucking bullshit. There's like a bunch of geese making sounds outside my window, but I don't think the microphone picked that up. And yeah, I think like those 4 videos, probably like that's around 2 hours of that's like 2 hours of content, and with my yapping it will easily be like more than 3 hours. So yeah, I think that's gonna be the stream for today. Like I said, I didn't I just have the 4 videos for now. I don't have like other things people have requested so far. I just didn't feel the need to put them on the put things on the docket if I'm not gonna react like right now, right the next stream, because then it like creates clutter that I might not get into. Like I had like a Wendy Gun video for the longest time, and then I decided, you know what, I kinda don't like reacting to Wendy Gun's videos, because they have this, the vibes are not the vibes I kinda wanna cultivate on stream. So because it's obviously true crime, like heavy topics, and that it's kinda fucking hard to make a joke when somebody's when Wendy Gun is talking about somebody's fucking head exploding or something, you know. Oh hey, an egg on the ground touches the egg and gets turned to stone. That is fucking exactly right, and you needed an antidote from the beginning of the game that you didn't pick up, so you are soft locked into, you know, you are basically soft locked for the rest of the fucking playthrough. Hello, Harry Boneo. How are you, man? So yeah, Shogo Mobile Armor Division review by MandaloreGaming. again, just to reiterate, zero fucking idea what this is. And also, you know, this is a very like Japanese mecha. You know, like Japanese and mecha are not the two words I kind of associate with Mandalore's channel. So this is kind of this is kind of weird, and obviously it really piqued my curiosity because of that. So yeah, let's check it out. Also, this is an old ass Mandalore video. Holy anime.
Well, now I understand why everyone was requesting this. I had first heard of Shogo a few years ago, but I didn't really look into it. I knew it was made by Monolith, which made the Fear game, which we've already covered on this channel. They've made a lot of games I like.
What the How do you go from Shogo Mobile Armor Division to making Fear and Condemned Criminal Origins? Huh. I would highly recommend checking out North American House Hippo commercial if you don't know it. I don't know it, so yeah, I can. I'm assuming it's like a short, like commercial. So yeah, I will check it out right after this video. A long way. Oh yeah, you can certainly say they came a fucking long way. The real mecha anime was the hobos killing people with strange powers along the way or something.
So when this intro first started playing, I was confused. Like, see here, the hallway's all lit and there's the Gibbs and... Well, you can tell this is a little different than the other games I've played. Let's just get into it. This intro is like 2 minutes long, by the way. Compared to the opening, the menu is a complete 180. I like the theme music. But my game didn't look like this at first. It looked like this. Shogo is a good example of one of my golden rules. Just because you could buy it on GOG doesn't mean it's going to work. So this is the retail version, and this is after I tinkered with it. So out of the box, it doesn't play well on modern systems, but it can, and there's a lot of people who don't know this. I thought it would be a good idea to list off how I made this happen. Otherwise, you're stuck playing in a windowed mode at about 11 FPS. Shogo doesn't support full screen, but it does support this side.
Oh, it's... What the fuck? Okay. Yeah, I was about to say, it's kind of funny seeing Mandalore Origins. Mandalore Origins where he... because nowadays he lists all the ways to make the game works like right off the make the game work right off the bat if it's like in a bad shape. So it's funny seeing him... it's funny hearing him mention that, oh, I thought it may be good to list all of the ways to make this game work. They planned ahead in monitor resolution. Oh yeah, man, they were really fucking ahead of the game apparently.
Which I'm going to call Planetarium. The first thing you need to do is download the widescreen patch, which some guy in a forum made. It's pretty easy to enable in the launcher, but we're not done yet, because the resolution is right, but now the menu is laggy, and the game will be too. DG Voodoo Wrapper is the savior here. It's a wrapper for older graphics APIs, and you can get it for free. The one drawback is almost every browser will scream at you that it's a virus, but you can just ignore that. Trust me. So once you've copied the right files in and got it all configured, you then choose the new display in the menu. So now it runs great, but the controls need work. It's like System Shock, where A&D turns you instead of strafing. but then I realized that
Oh.
clicking wouldn't shoot. It's a keyboard input and it won't let you rebind to a mouse button, unless you load some lines into the game's auto-execute file. Now this wasn't picked up by recording, but sometimes the mouse would start flashing in the center of the screen, another common problem. But instead of downloading some program to fix that, I just made a blank mouse cursor and used that. There's also an issue where the endgame soundtrack won't play. Running that in Windows 95 compatibility mode fixed it for me, but your results will vary. So yeah, now the game's running. I might end up buying this on
Holy fuck. Like, how old is this game? Because those are some, like, old-ass game problems. God damn.
Steam just so I could post a community guide there that has all the fixes in one place. If you couldn't tell, it was a little bit of a scavenger hunt to get this going, so now I could find out if all the trouble was worth it. Since I did just spend the past minute making it work, I might as well start with the graphics. This game is from 1998, and it's pretty apparent immediately.
98? So many problems with a 98 game. Holy.
But there's something a little different about the characters' faces.
Okay, that's fucking funny.
But I'll come back to that in a moment. Certain weapons have nasty texture seams. There's some stuff that looks downright bad, even for the time. I was convinced this was a bug and this guy had a normal weapon that was accidentally scaled up about 3 times, but nope, this is actually working as intended. Shogo is the first
What the hell?
game in the Lithtech engine. It would be developed for Monolith's later games like No One Lives Forever, Fear, and even Shadow of Mordor. Compared to its competition at the time like Quake 2 and Unreal, it's a pretty good looking game. I can't say it looks better everywhere because there's some issues around. Some of the outdoor environments are pretty bland, but then you compare that to the game's interior environment.
I don't know why this review isn't more popular. Probably just because it's a pretty underground game, which nowadays Mandalore is obviously well known for covering like hidden gems. But this is like from like the beginning of his channel, essentially. So like back then, yeah, his famous reviews from back then are like Fear, which is like a widely known game. So it's just probably a combination of this being an old video and this being quite an obscure game. Because like I said, nowadays he reviews obscure games, but like people already know who Mandalore is. Back then, not so much, I guess.
The areas they added details to look great. Monolith was just starting to experiment with how much they loved high-tech facilities, parking garages, and offices. Monolith was
That fucking gun looks so weird. That's a very weird like pistol model. Holy. Something about that middle part here. Jesus.
just starting to experiment with how much they loved high-tech facilities, parking garages, and offices. This was pretty cool stuff. And where have I seen this before? Oh. The thing that noticeably set Shogo apart from its peers were some of the effects. The gore looks really good because the blood is actually made of 3D objects. The result is that shooting people would cause blood to really drip down and go everywhere. They did make blood the year before, so it makes sense they'd keep going with this. The special effects are all over the top, and it's great.
When you kill somebody, it kinda looks like the totally not an Auto 9 from Perfect Dark. Never played Perfect Dark, so just gonna have to take your word for it. When you shoot somebody in this game and he there's an explosion and his guts go everywhere, it kinda looks like very similar effects to what Cruelty Squad uses for its Gibbs, because every time you shoot somebody in that game, he also fucking explodes into million Gibbs, and that specific
Moving on to the over the top, and it's great.
Those JPEG explosions and that specific way that everything goes batshit, limbs just go everywhere. It's exactly like Cruelty Squad. That's kinda wild.
Moving on to the art style, it's what sets this game apart from the others of its time. Basically, it looks similar to other shooters until somebody actually starts shooting. The effects are going for a very specific style. In case the intro artwork and the title didn't give it away, this is A mech game. That doesn't sound too crazy, but back then most mech games looked like this. So instead of making a mech sim, they made a mech-flavored FPS game. But they needed a way to make it stand out from other mech games, so they turned to the devil's paintings. If the intro wasn't a dead giveaway, this is an anime game. I was hoping to never have to use the phrase, this is an anime game, but here we are. I have some explaining to do. I don't hate anime. I hate this. I don't get it. I don't understand people enjoying this. Like, Jesus Christ. Thankfully, this...
Listen, I'm just assuming that segment got him a lot of hate. I would not say that shit on camera, okay? Like, I would not be able to deal with the fucking... with the K-On! Stance in my replies, so... But I understand what he's saying, because I don't like slice of life animes. I also don't get it. The only slice of life that I could ever consume is something like GTO, because it's like it focuses on more like grown up aspects of life, I guess. There was a popular show to show around on Twitter for some reason. I never watched it, so I've forgotten the name. Oh, there was like fucking 300 of them. I'm trying to like reach the names in my memory palace, but like I'm coming up with fucking nothing, because again, yeah, I didn't watch all of them too, so...
This game isn't that. This is more in the mecha category. It's more along the lines of Patlabor and Robotech, not really Gundam. My knowledge on the genre is pretty limited. I have seen Patlabor, and I have played 2 Robotech games, but that's it. I feel like this is an important thing to bring up. Everything about the game is animated.
Oh man, that joke runs deep. I don't mind reading Slice of Life, but I never watch them because I get bored of the 500 reaction shots per episode. Fair.
Inspired, and it's terrifying.
Oh my fucking god, those models are so bad though.
Everything about the game is anime inspired, and it's
Why are this feels like an actual horror game thing, you know?
terrifying.
Holy shit.
I do get what they're going for, but the models seem off. I mentioned that it's not until people start shooting that you can see how stylish it is. This is where Shogo's art direction becomes a problem. Those barren areas I talked about really stick out when there's just an anime poster on the wall. The same goes for becomes a problem. Those barren areas I talked about
unironically looks like a custom Quake map with that fucking, like, literally Quake assets, and then the map maker put a random fucking anime poster on a wall. Isn't that the villain in Corellin? Holy shit, it kinda is. Why the long face?
that really stick out when there's just an anime poster on the wall. The same goes for the environments. The more grounded approach to the levels makes things feel a bit out of place. It's not constant, but when it happens it really sticks out. It's really hard to put into words, but I'll try. They were using top-of-the-line graphics techniques to make the game look realistic, but they show you what the character is supposed to look like. Naturally, they're styled like anime characters. The models are also like this, but look at the background. Everything but the characters is trying to look as realistic as possible for the time. My brain just sees this and tells me it's clashing. It doesn't happen in the more fantastical areas, just the more mundane ones. The stylized effects are great, but less than 2 years later a game came out that showed how it could be done. It's about time I got to bring this up. When the game Jet Set Radio came out not too long after, it used the cell shading technique, so instead of just having some styled effects, everything had a style to it. And I know it's unfair to wish that a game had a style.
Whoa, was Jet Set Radio the first game to use cell shading for its things? Holy.
that was still in development, but what can I say? My eyes have been ruined by this.
Also, wild seeing Mandalore mention Jet Set Radio. Holy shit.
Robotech Battlecry ended up doing that. It looks fantastic. So I keep thinking about this weird alternate reality where Shogo was the first cel-shaded game and took off, or at least was a cult hit. So as far as an art style goes, there's good stuff here, but a lot you've seen before. It's the story and the gameplay where things...
Also, like, seeing him talk about this game... Again, I am still waiting for the Oni review, like I have mentioned in like at least 15 other Mandalore reactions. And like seeing this art style and him talking about all of this, I think we're gonna hear a lot of echoes of that in his Oni review. I don't recall which game was the first. Jet Set Radio looked great though. Oh, Jet Set Radio is fucking immortal because of its art style. Holy shit. What a game that just doesn't age.
Get really interesting. Honestly, this game cracks me up.
Sorry, Commander, this area is off limits.
Yeah, whatever.
I have my orders, sir. Please be nice to me.
This is the best game ever made. Holy shit.
This better work.
Romantic.
Well, I don't know about that.
What's that supposed to mean?
Do you have a pass? No pass, no ticket.
Yeah, right here.
I'm sorry, sir, but that pass isn't validated. You need to get it validated.
Where?
Any of the shops in Crescent Square can do it for you. Check at the register.
It's incredible. It's one of those rare times where the story and gameplay are so tied together I kind of have to do them at the same time. Let me start from the beginning. The game's protagonist is Sanjuro Makabe. Shinji Mackerel. The game starts with some background from Sanjuro's point of view. He's a member of the United Corporate Authority. They've been fighting over a planet called Cronus over a liquid called Kato, which helps power spaceflight. They've been fighting the rebels in the Cronus government and a terrorist group called the Fallen. So far, the radicals have wiped out his brother, his girlfriend, and his best friend. But then the game mentions...
War bad. Who could have thought? A lot of, from what I understand, a lot of products from Japan are some kind of critique of war. But like, mecha anime in particular is like, from what I gather, a lot of like critique about conflict and the nature of conflict and such, but from what I heard, there are some like, despite how cliche it might sound, there are some like great fucking messages included with like certain Gundam series. But it's just then, you know, it also is popular, so they use it to sell little toys. So... I wouldn't even redo the voice acting if this game got a remake. Oh, fuck yeah, man. Like, that voice acting is... needs to be, like, a... In Europe, we have those, like, protected cultural sites managed by a, like, a international organization that sees to... that says that those, like castles and really old historic buildings are upkept and like kept in their original form. Like, we need something like that for video games so that we can preserve Shogo Mobile Armor Division voice acting, because that is a fucking... That is a cultural heritage that needs to be protected. They're just kind of under everything else. I'm assuming you meant in relation to what I said about Gundam.
That you're now dating your dead girlfriend's sister.
Huh? Okay. Okay, that's a weird one though. That's the whole concept of how a war against something can accidentally end up furthering it, especially if it's anti-capitalist. Personal favorite is still the Lorax approved car ads. What the hell? Yeah, like this topic has been kinda reignited lately. Like again, big fan of the Castle Super Beast podcast. And like there was a conversation about Squid Game because on during Gamescom there was a trailer for a Squid Game survival style of Fall Guys game, and Pat and Wooly talked about like how it all came full circle. With Wooly specifically bringing up a quote from Disco Elysium that is just a quote from Marx's work in the real world, obviously, that capitalism has the power to consume any critique of it into itself, and like remember how anti-capitalist Squid Games is, like the whole point of it is those people wouldn't have to play the fucking dev games if they weren't so fucking poor. And then like the show got popular, so here are all the, you know, toys from Squid Game. Ooh, Halloween costumes. Ooh, here comes the fucking Squid Game gacha game, bro. It's like, it's so fucking funny, man. Yeah, it's like, oh, it doesn't matter what your product kinda criticizes, because like, that was supposed to be a warning, not an instruction manual. It doesn't matter what your product criticizes, because if it gets popular enough, it's just gonna be like a vehicle to drive sales of a fucking thing. So, better to focus on aspects, I think, like more telling stories that are supposed to kinda keep your spirits high, I guess. Because then when you sell toys, but your message is also don't inflict violence upon each other, because it's a serpent that it's its own tail. It doesn't seem like as bad when you start selling fucking toys. Shockingly, the real life Squid Game people are trying to, oh my god, it's kind of read to read this sentence. Shockingly, the real life Squid Game people are saying, I guess, that it was a disaster. Making the show was a disaster, with the people in charge taking advantage of others, and it was inhumane. Who could have known? Yeah, shocked Pikachu face is exactly the right reaction. Oh man.
Yeah, complicated is a good way to put it. There's a reason why I brought up my limited anime knowledge earlier. Right from the get-go, they have little Easter eggs around. M. Kusanagi, I know that one. A. Shinohara's next door. And Hungover. I get the feeling this game is a little bit of an anime treasure hunt that I don't know I'm missing out on. I'm really confident that they took the sound effects right out of shows. Getting back on track, the only backstory you get is from that intro sequence and from this computer. I learned that the big bad guy was named Gabriel, but I didn't learn anything else because this guy kept talking over it.
Sajuro, this is Admiral Akaraja. Stop fooling around and report for duty.
You told me to come here.
We will tolerate no
Commander
further
reporting immediately to Dock S. My patience is learning.
You learn from the commander, who is also the father of your ex-girlfriend and current girlfriend because this is anime, that you need to go down to the planet to kill Gabriel.
Yup, that's an anime.
Who is also the father of your ex-girlfriend and current girlfriend.
Holy shit, this image on the right, Alois cracks me the fuck up.
Because this is anime, that you need to go down to the planet to kill Gabriel.
Do you have something you wish to share with me, Commander?
Yes, sir. You are my personal hero, sir.
By the way, Commander, I'm pleased to know that you checked into regional diagnostics. It's about time you showed a little initiative.
Stay out of the ladies' bathroom, Denton. Actually, this game came out before that one, so that's cool. For your first mission, you get to choose between one of 4 mechs. They all look awesome, and each one comes with a detailed briefing.
Anders Ultimate MCA.
Do they actually have like different mechanics? Holy shit, that is... Huh.
The under 25
Or is it just like, how they look like? Surely not.
Predator is perfectly suited to combat missions.
I'd highly recommend picking up one of the tankier mechs for your first run. Shogo has a very unusual combat system. Enemies sometimes drop health and armor, you can find goodies in crates, hold lots of weapons, all that good stuff. But when you shoot an enemy, every so often you'll get a critical hit. I'm pretty sure it's completely random. Besides doing a lot of damage, it also restores some of your health. This system allows you to last longer in some fights where you'd usually end up dead. But here's the catch. The enemies can also crit you. This is survivable in a heavy mech, but you spend at least half the game on foot. So if you're being shot, you'll see your health decrease and then bam, you're dead. Doesn't matter how much stuff you have on. But then you have to combine this with the game's AI. I don't know what else to call it other than an absent-minded savant. Because you can do this. But if you go around a corner too quickly, there's no mercy. But here's the worst part. These savants are blessed with precognition. I have proof too. Purple Flash, he crit me. The elevator wasn't quite up there when he shot me, but that's a little bit muddled. But I managed to get this. This is my Sasquatch recording. This proves everything is right, and I'm not crazy. Did you see that?
Holy...
Those are some quick reflexes. My theory is that they can fire from any angle on their hitbox, but I can't be sure. So imagine that, plus the crits.
I'll fire the cannon myself just as soon as I put you down.
That's pretty bad. That is... Yeah, random crits for enemies are like... In a non-strategy setting, that's pretty bad.
Damn.
And here's footage proving why it's a fucking bad idea.
I beat the game in hard, but I also tried an easy file to see how it was, and it was the same with the crits. But there's another weird aspect to the combat. The cars in this game are basically nuclear weapons. I dare you to step on one. Splash damage seems to hurt you more than a dead-on hit. I can't recall other games that do this. So even though you're in a mecha setting, with fast movement and a lot of weapons, you have to play the game very carefully. You get zapped around corners so easily. You have to check around every entryway. The game revels in its ability to drop in on you. If you don't make your own saves, it puts you back at the beginning of the level and you have to watch
The mech he's playing is reminding me of Metal Wolf Chaos so fucking much. Because it looks like, yeah, the mech of the President of the United States from that one. I prefer enemy crits that have extra effects, not just extra damage for this reason. Yeah. Game too easy, so the game devs gave them precognition nonsense.
unskippable cutscene again. You start playing it like a tactical shooter. For example, you get the drop on a robot, but you don't want to be too close when he dies or else the splash damage will get you. Just little things like that all the time. It can start to drive you crazy. The game also has tiny amounts of hidden power-ups you can use. You really need to make them last too, because your health carries on in between levels. Despite all of this, I kept playing. The weapons still feel great and the combat looks amazing too. I also got deep satisfaction from having a gunfight that I won, taking out multiple enemies without getting blasted immediately. So there was enough here to keep me going, but for others I could see them dropping this pretty quickly. I don't blame them. You can get in some terrible situations. I almost forgot. These things transform too.
What the fuck? That's cool! Metal Wolf Chaos was mighty based. Oh yeah, man. So many 90s shooters were like that too. Yeah, but there were less egregious examples and more egregious. This is definitely on the more egregious side of the spectrum.
I was pretty excited. The difficulty means using it effectively is very hard. Once you do pull it off, you feel like a god. This mode doesn't have weapons, but it makes a pretty killer lawnmower. Things like this kept me going, along with the story. Along with the unusual world building. Classical Amish death metal? Megatron Bank? I'm getting eye flashbacks. Some of you Shogo fans might be worried I wouldn't talk about the cat quest. I have to talk about the cat quest. This isn't a side mission either, this is part of the main story. The rundown is you're blocked off by an electric fence, need the owner to turn it off.
Tell you what, I'll turn off the electricity if you'll find my kitty. She ran off.
Your kitty.
She likes to hide in the building by the pumping station. She'll only come to you if you have her toy, so you'll have to find it first. It's probably somewhere in the building.
So Spider-Woman Jennifer Aniston won't turn it off unless we get her cat. The entire level is dedicated to finding this cat.
That's fucking great. Oh my god. The transformation sound effects sound like something from Evangelion. Huh, you're kinda right, I think. Let me just go back real quick.
Transform too.
Oh yeah, that is some like juicy Evangelion sound bites. You are fucking right.
Our level is dedicated to finding this cat.
Where are you now?
Don't ask.
So I carve a path of destruction and eventually find the toy. It's
Why are there fucking like enemy terrorists guarding a cat?
Captain Claw from their side-scroller game. But then I hear this tidbit out of It's Captain Claw from their side-scroller.
Oh my fucking god! That's so weird! That's fucking Capitan Claw, man! That was such a popular side-scroller in Poland because it had like full like Polish localization. I played that shit when I was a kid, man. Holy! That's so fucking funny. That's such a deep cut callback. Oh my fucking god.
Game. But then I hear this tidbit out of nowhere.
Sick bastards.
For whatever reason, the enemy wants to eat the cat. Was Monolith trying to imply something about the enemies? So you lure the cat out, which leads to this exchange.
Here, kitty, kitty. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Come here, you stupid cat.
Should I even ask?
Just ran into some stragglers that were trying to eat a cat.
Can you say that again slowly?
Pervert.
I'm having trouble picturing it. Maybe you could demonstrate.
Maybe. You must have amnesia.
I like how even in the recording you can see me stop because I can't really comprehend what I'm hearing. They use people literally trying to eat a cat to make that joke. That's incredible.
You shouldn't have run away from...
What the fuck was happening in the office when they wrote that one? Never heard of this, but you're making it sound fun. Oh, Kapitan Pazur, as it was known in Poland, or yeah, Kapitan Claw. It was just kind of a run-of-the-mill like 2D platformer. But you also had like, you were collecting bullets because you had like, you know, a fucking... You had like a pirate pistol and a saber, and it's pretty standard affair. It's, for me, it's just more like... I was not expecting to see fucking Capitan Claw in a Mandalore video, you know. But it's probably if I replayed it today, it's probably a piece of shit game. That's very unbased of them, cyberpunks trying to devour the kitty. Yeah. That's the whole point of the level, just for that one joke. That is fucking... That is hilarious, but also why the fuck did they write that into the script, man?
Mommy worries about her widow Puka. Thanks, mister.
None of this is what I expected when I started this video. Literally none of it, other than mecha anime. What the fuck is happening with Shogo Mobile Armor Division, man?
Give me a sec. I'll turn off the electricity.
Thanks a lot, lady. You want me to take the garbage out for you? You crazy.
So she gives you a power-up and opens the gate for you. Now get this. That whole thing is optional. You can just kill her and the other guy in the house, run in the back, and then turn off the gate yourself. That entire new level is completely optional. Later, you can decide whether or not...
That's based that you can actually do that. Holy shit.
...to betray your army. This will decide the levels in the last quarter of the game and which enemies you fight. You could complete your original mission, which has Gabriel trying to whack you with a pool noodle, or you could take a completely different path. I won't get into the main story because I wasn't that invested in it. The story is like being a kid and flipping through TV channels, then you see, I don't know, Gundam or something on TV and the robots are fighting. Yeah, they're yelling about backstory and stuff, but you just want to see the robots fight. They only show the background in text, but they act like you should really be invested in it. Complete with the other dialogue option in the game about, well, your love life, but I won't get into that. It doesn't affect anything. I didn't care about the main story as much as I cared about seeing some of the weird background details. Shogo has main events that would be a joke or an Easter egg in other games, but in this one it's the star of the show. Like, you have a pretend rival the whole game that you could just kill immediately in almost every fight.
I think you need to get over this obsession, it's not healthy.
And then you have an actually hard boss battle that you need to cheese because they zap you instantly. Then you run into more weird shit.
What the fuck is this game, bro? What the fuck is...
What is this game? This isn't an out-of-the-way Easter egg or anything. If you want to fight Mecha Hitler, you have to pass through the BG's pool party. Honestly, that sums up the game. I have nothing else to say. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It was a pain to set up, but I still feel like I got my $6 worth. For everything bad this game has, it has something good, and vice versa. I'd be interested in seeing a remake or a sequel to it. This game didn't sell well either, because guess what came out 3 months after it did? They had to cancel 2 expansion packs, and I think it's safe to say the series is on hiatus. There's no checklist I could go down to recommend this. Shogo is Shogo. There's nothing like it. This is the first time I made a video on something I hadn't played before, so thanks for the recommends. Even with its mechanic problems and fair share of bugs, at the very least it doesn't try to steal hundreds of dollars out of your wallet. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
How about that red claw, Carla?
Nothing for you, Commander. You're on duty.
What more can you even fucking say at this point, man? What more There's always oh yeah, this was the beach episode! But instead, like, they had to settle for a pool. That makes sense. They borrowed some contraband from the Serious Sam office to make this. Imagine the universe where this got popular and Monolith went down this route. Oh, I want to believe, man. I want to believe. Right next to Oni becoming a breakaway success, and instead of Halo, Bungie just made a bunch of Oni sequels, and I was like the happiest fucking boy on the planet. Speaking of MechWarrior, is this when I can recommend videos? Yeah, sure, man. Just drop your recommendation. I will... in a week, I will be going through, like, the backlog of recommendations and setting up the list. So it might take a while for your video to make it here, but... yeah, just drop it in the chat. Don't worry about it. Speaking of, what was that? What was the fucking advertisement? The review is going to remain a personal favorite of mine. A shame everyone missed it. Yeah, House Hippo. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this fucking review was something else, man.
It's nighttime in a kitchen just like yours.
Wait, I kinda now that I say it, I kinda have an inkling that I saw this, but I still don't remember the punchline. So
All is quiet. Or is it? The North American house hippo is found throughout Canada and the
was it like about misinformation or something?
eastern United States. House hippos are very timid creatures and are rarely seen, but they will defend their territory if provoked. They come out at night to search for food, water, and materials for their nests. The favorite foods of the house hippo are chips, raisins, and the crumbs from peanut butter on toast. They build their nests in bedroom closets, using lost mittens, dryer lint, and bits of string. The nests have to be very soft and warm. House hippos sleep about 16 hours a day.
That looked really real, but you knew it couldn't be true, didn't you? That's why it's good to think about what you're watching on TV and ask questions, kind of like you just did. A message from Concerned Children's Advertisers.
That's the fucking stupidest ass like commercial. What specifically do you mean by this, though? Analog horror, if it was good. Oh man. I recall you were wondering about Battletech in Pancreas No Works video. Battletech 101 by Black Pants Legion is a good primer if you're interested. Which one is Battletech? Is Battletech the one where he showed the map and it was like the one stripe they had to defend? Yeah, I will check that out and add it to the list. The main thing that the video did was that advertisement did was get kids to believe that house hippos were real. Holy fucking shit, that's hilarious, man. Oh my god. But like, it felt like they wanted to criticize something specific and they just didn't have the balls to pull through. Like, making up that whole scenario was so counterintuitive. Like, oh my fucking god. Just give an example of a scam or a misinformation campaign in TV and say, yeah, this shit was not real. I don't believe everything is here on TV. Some PSAs are wild, man.
Roguelike is
That's a great start. So yeah, moving on, we have a game called ADOM and Legacy of Roguelikes by Doshington, I believe. Did I get that right? Yeah, Doshington. A channel that I have not seen, and from what I've seen, he only does like Factorio gameplay, let's play, like highly edited things. But this one video in particular that got recommended to me like really stood out because it's about old ass roguelike and got recommended to me when a topic of Risk of Rain 2 came up, I think. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is an interesting This is an interesting topic to me, because they're like old roguelikes that I never seen. Like Rogue, which is the entire reason why it's called the roguelike genre, and like almost nobody knows what Rogue is, probably. Like those first procedurally generated games. I'm just kind of curious about them. Yeah, how the I don't know if this goes like very deep into the history of roguelikes. It seems like it focuses on that ADOM game, sadly, but you know, the history of this like genre is always interesting to me. So yeah, let's just get in there and see what ADOM is.
A term that's thrown around a lot these days. Roguelike is a term that's thrown around a lot these days, and it really boggles my noggle that most people who use it haven't even seen, let alone played, a traditional roguelike.
Yeah, exactly what I said.
It's not to be pedantic or elitist or anything, I just think more people should play them, but on the same hand, understand why more people don't.
Oh my fucking
With games
god.
like Caves of Clud, Cogmine, and same hand under.
I mean, speaking of traditional roguelikes, I don't think you should be showing Elona while talking about traditional roguelikes. Holy shit, I remember that Seth review of this game. The way you describe it is like if FPS games were still called Doom clones. I guess that's kinda right, but roguelike just kinda sounds cool, so that's why it stayed. Calling something an X-clone just seems like derogatory, so the term didn't really stick. Boomer shooter, on the other hand, that's a fucking term that has staying power, you know.
Understand why more people don't. With games like Caves of Clud, Cogmine, Cataclysm...
I still need to play like Caves of Clud because I'm so interested in that game.
Dark Days Ahead and hundreds of others, despite being more numerous than ever, the genre remains incredibly niche, for reasons that will hopefully become self-evident by the time you're through with this video. But roguelikes hold a special place in my heart. As far back as kindergarten, I can recall playing Castle of the Winds, published in 1992 by the now rather notorious Epic Games. I remember talking to my teacher about it for like 20 minutes straight, and because I was 5 years old, I thought she was genuinely interested and asked my dad how to burn it onto a floppy disk as soon as I got home so I could give it to her the next day. No idea if she ever played it. Then there was the time I won the spelling bee in the first grade because I knew how to spell medium thanks to the spell Cure Medium Wounds. And the reason I knew what a corpse was before I could fully comprehend mortality. Oh yeah. And it's why I could touch type at like age 6 thanks to memorizing all the some dozen key bindings, but I
Bro, teaching a kid giving a kid in elementary school a fucking classic roguelike with the classic keybind system is mind poison. Holy fuck. Oh my god.
Digress. I also played a good deal of NetHack, which my parents thought was a
Also that's a classic, like kids seeing fucking zombies or like corpses or like kinda intuiting what death is because they played a bunch of video games instead of learning it. I don't know where else you're supposed to learn it, to be fair. Like, your parents won't fucking talk to you about death when you're like below age of 10 unless like a relative of you recently passed, you know, and they have to kind of explain it. But like, I think like engaging with movies and video games is like the most surefire way for your kid to, not like the recommended way, but like probably the way they're gonna, you know, do it. And they say video games rot your brain.
But the game I really landed on was ADOM, or ADOM, whatever you want to call it. So before I decided to make
Never in my fucking life have I heard about this
video, I really considered whether a game with letters for graphics and the need to explain what's a wall and a door, as well as which one of these random symbols is the one
I mean, that's just fucking, like, when I see this, that's just, yeah, Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead, and, whatchamacallit, Dwarf Fortress, especially if you're playing on, like, the classic tile set. So, yeah. I think more people, like, people are familiar with this concept even if they have never played a game like this. I think, like, that's not a hard concept to grasp. Instead of fucking pictures or like sprites or like tiles, it's just, yeah, a hashtag.
I'm actually controlling.
That looks like a very neat way to sneak in playing a game at work. Looks like work at first glance. Yeah, this fucking looks like fucking just Excel spreadsheet. I think Seth literally made that joke in his Caves of Code video, where if a boss walks in on you playing this, he will be like, my man's Excel spreadsheet is looking fucked up. I better leave him to it.
Would be the best topic for a video. But this is my channel, I can do what I want with it. And what I want to do is talk about this game that I've been playing for over 20 years and know way too much about. And besides, I've heard what people really want is passion. And yeah, I can give you passion. Ancient Domains of Mystery originally came out in 1994 through various stages of alpha and beta, but the final version came out in 2002, which makes it a spring chicken compared to some OGs like NetHack and Angbond, but I'm still coming to terms with the fact that was still a very long time ago. That was the version I played the most, with all its quirks and foibles still intact, like jackals and spiders becoming exponentially more difficult to kill until they rivaled the final boss, throwing potions of invisibility at enemies inexplicably making them give twice the experience, and being able to infinitely double your money by giving it to a dragon until you accidentally make so much you cause an integer overflow and crash the game. Oh yeah, and a fatal...
Man. Bugs like that are always so fucking fun. I will never get over how fun Sims 3 infamous patch notes are. With, like, you know, children will not leave the school when a meteor strike is called and just remain in there and die. Type of patch notes. But yeah, like, feeding a dragon until he has so much gold he crashes the fucking game sounds like some classic roguelike shenanigans, man.
Crash anytime you dropped an ingot after smelting it, or tried to eat the corpse of a werewolf king. And by the way, doesn't matter if you were playing that run for 20 hours, if you crashed once, you were never getting that character back. Regardless, we made it work back then.
What is that? What is fucking attacking him right now?
We're never getting that character back.
Spectre.
Regardless, we made it.
But why is there so many of them and they're like going through the fucking walls and shit?
If you crashed once, you were never getting that character back.
Or is that like a visualization of you're not sure which space the ghost occupies because he's like kind of a you know, translucent or whatever? Total War also had some very fun ones, like Tamur Khan can no longer have his giant toad dragon mount stolen from under him. It could be just a lot of ghosts, to be fair, but that seems a lot of ghosts to fight at once, you know? Also, fire spells now deal fire damage. Okay, that's the best one. What the fuck were they doing before?
Regardless, we made it work back then, but imagine my shock when suddenly the developers started up an Indiegogo campaign out of nowhere to revive ADOM and resume development, eventually reaching 187% of their goal and ultimately bringing ADOM to Steam in 2015. Yeah, so I'm a little late to the party, but better late than never, I suppose. Alright, enough of the history lessons. What the heck is ADOM? Well, it's a tile-based, top-down, turn-based RPG with procedural generation, permadeath, and ASCII graphics. With the 2015 release, there's actually tile sets now.
Like I said, it's just when you have exactly like Dwarf Fortress, it's so easy to swap like those. It's so easy to swap symbols to pictures, and it's like the same game. So like, yeah, I think most people understand the concept of like a game where it's just literally a Excel spreadsheet, playable Excel spreadsheet. But then you have to like wonder what G is instead of looking at a picture and going, oh, that's a fucking ghost. Or like, oh, that's a horde of ghosts coming through the walls to eat my ass. I think I'm fucking done, boys. I wonder if this is like Conquest of Elysium where everything that dies makes a ghost. I don't think, because he killed a couple of things and I don't think that happened.
And I tried to use them, but it just felt deeply and viscerally wrong. Like you're sitting on the couch and you just know that some creature of the night is shapeshifted into your wife, but you're too afraid to say anything. Also was actually making me worse at the game because I didn't recognize any—
Yeah, like he killed a bunch of creatures there and no ghost. Unless there needs to be like specific conditions where there's, I don't know, a necromancer around or like a cursed object that revives everything into a ghost.
Of the monsters, so ASCII it is. It might not be the best for the video, but let's just say it's for that authentic roguelike experience. So if you want to play ADOM, first you need to make a character, and to do that you need to choose the month you were born on. Back in my day, you didn't get to choose, it was just random and you kept quitting over and over until you got the one you wanted. In my objectively correct opinion, the Raven is flagrantly better than all the others, but shoutouts to the candle and to the tree if you're new, I guess. Then you choose male or female and your race. It might seem complicated, but realistically it narrows down to the question, are you a wizard? If not, does your class start with the Find Weakness skill? If not, choose a Dark Elf. Otherwise, choose anything but a Troll. Finally, you're ready to choose your class. Alright, so I've beaten the game with most of these, and let me simplify it for you. There we go.
Archer, Wars Fighter, Alternate Fighter, Wars Fighter, Wars Fighter, Alternate Wizard, Archer/Fighter, Wizard, Alt Fighter, Wars Wizard, Fighter, Painful, Wars Fighter, Wars Fighter, Wars Fighter, Wars Fighter, Wars Wizard, Wars Fighter, Wars Wizard. Who is Painful? Mindcrafter. Yo, they had fucking Minecraft in 90 whatever. Let's go. What does Mindcrafter do though? You heard him, don't be a troll. So there was a way to troll yourself in a single player game. Interesting, curious.
Alright, so I've beaten the game with most of these, and let me simplify it for you. There we go. In fact, let me put this all onto a tier list.
You know what? Calling a priest Wars Wizard kinda works in any fantasy setting if you really think about it.
Simplify it for you. There we go. In fact, let me put this all onto a tier list. Again, this is all objectively correct. As you can see, there's a bit of a power gap, and that's because archers and wizards specialize in killing things from places where they can't get killed from. Something
which is classic overpowered fucking any RPG, you know. Range is always broken in any RPG you can think of. Any fucking RPG you can think of, because like range lends itself to abusing AI so fucking easily, man.
Melee fighters haven't quite figured out yet. On top of that, archers handily outdamage every other class, while wizards just do everything. Everyone in F tier is either just plain bad or a worse version of another class.
Why would you... Look at this shit. Why would you want to play a merchant or a farmer in a fucking dungeon crawler? What the fuck? This ain't like... This ain't Dwarf Fortress, man. You're not making a settlement. You're going into the dungeon to kill something. What the hell? That's why every setting invents teleportation. They don't want ranged to be paramount. And then like teleportation becomes like the most overpowered thing because you can disengage at a moment's notice for the challenge because roleplay. You know what? That's kind of fair.
Yes, like Mindcrafters, really interesting and unique abilities, and a great challenge class if you want meeting a single Ghost King to be a run-ending experience. Priests and druids are just worse wizards, then there's merchants, farmers, and thieves. Again, great if you're looking for a challenge, but you win by killing things, not pickpocketing them to death. There's a lot of curious design choices in this game. Like, half the skills are straight up useless, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
Oh, wait,
Again,
there was gardening.
The skills are straight up.
Gardening allows planting herb bushes and gathering herb seeds from blossoming bushes. You can literally play fucking farming simulator inside ADOM for some reason. What the fuck? Imagine just playing Binding of Isaac and you're stopping your run to start a little house and a fucking garden to grow some items. What? Saw bridge building for trolls. There is no fucking
There's
way.
A lot of
Are you trolling
design
me?
choices in this game. Like
there is bridge building. What the fuck are you talking about, man? Allows building bridges. Doesn't this game take place in a dungeon or something? Why would you need to build a fucking bridge? What? No, ain't no shot. This game is mental. Wait, this is Minecraft? Holy shit, this is Minecraft. I was fucking kidding before.
half the skills are
Traps, that's, you know, normal.
useless, but I'm
Law. You can be a fucking lawyer in this one, I guess. Provides messages when the player character performs lawful chaotic acts. What the fuck does that even mean? I guess you can just play as fucking Saul from Better Call Saul and like go to trial with the wizard of the dungeon.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Oh, there was also ventriloquism, but maybe that's used like for ventriloquism can be used to confuse monsters for several turns. What the fuck? That doesn't seem like what ventriloquism should do. I thought it's like making puppets, as in like a little NPCs you can control to like scout or fight for you. Huh. So weird. Minecraft became so popular it influenced games backwards in time. Minecraft is on SCP. That's kinda, you know what? That's kinda true though. Let me just check something real quick. Okay.
Alright, so finally you get to choose your stats. And I don't care how magical you plan to be, you want strength and toughness. Also, appearance and charisma are almost entirely worthless, so get rid of those.
Classic RPGs where no matter that you're a wizard, you need to have a lot of strength to fucking punch things really hard.
Still not done. Now you need to choose a talent, and just look at all these possibilities. What to pick? Well, I've got news for you, buddy. If you didn't pick Alert, you are an idiot. Perception might seem worthless, but you can only get Alert at the start of the game, and not getting it locks you out of hands down the best talent in the game, Treasure Hunter. So yeah, pick that one.
To put it simply, it makes enemies drop more items. Seems like a thing you really want to you really want something like
Enter your
this in a dungeon crawling game.
And now if you want to actually play the game, you need to memorize dozens of key bindings.
Classic.
Memorized them all yet? Good. Now you can run around the overworld and starve to death because you haven't yet realized that you need to press greater than to actually enter an area on the map. I really got to wonder what this looks like to all you unenlightened viewers, because all I can see are lush forests, verdant fields, and vertiginous mountains that we'll mostly be ignoring. Once you've figured out how to actually enter a dungeon, the gameplay is pretty simple. This is your health, don't let it reach 0. That's it. Well, apart from starvation, death rays, old age, getting sacrificed, entering the chaos portal, petrification, hearing a banshee scream, getting eaten by a grue, choking on your own vomit, kicking the staircase, getting crushed by your own inventory, and reaching maximum corruption, as long as it's not any of those things, as long as your HP remains above 0, you're good. All the moving letters that aren't you are enemies, and to attack them you just walk into them. You can also shoot them with missiles or blast them with magic. Reduce their hit points to 0.
What the fuck is that enemy spam?
With missiles or blast them with magic.
There are so many of them. What the fuck is that?
Reduce their hit points to 0.
Jesus Christ.
You'll get some experience and maybe items. Realistically, most of the gameplay is mashing your face against things until one of you falls over, but as sure...
You know what? It's kinda weirdly simple for this kind of game that you just fight by... I mean, melee, obviously, because ranged is a different thing. But, like, you just kinda fight by walking into things. That's kinda weirdly simple for a game like this. I was expecting it to be like a separate input that if you didn't learn, you will not win any fucking fights. I 100% played this. I remember running around and starving now. It basically is Ultima. I didn't have a chance to play that one, so...
For you, it's everything surrounding.
But yeah, it does look like a lot of games, other games that I've seen, like, again, Dwarf Fortress comes to mind on like the most classic tile set.
That which is complicated. You've got your equipment, your inventory, your weapon skills, your stats, your talents, your class abilities, your...
And yeah, like Rogue, the original Roguelike, also I think looked like this, so... But, you know, they... Yeah, most old roguelikes work like that, but the complex part is all the other things beyond the basic attack. Oh yeah, like he said, you have like starving, fucking corruption, you can get like mind controlled, you can get this or that, or your equipment can crush you. Like there's a lot of other things you need to think about other than the basic attack and hitting things.
Defense value, your protection value, and your hidden intrinsics that you can only see by drinking a potion. All things that determine how effectively you can mash your face against things. If you get enough experience, you'll level up and get to train some skills. You'll also get more health, and at certain levels, you'll get access to unique class abilities. Much like any dungeon crawler, your goal is to get strong enough to eventually beat the game by gaining experience, raising your stats, and finding better gear. Really, that's it. Just running around procedurally generated dungeons and trying to avoid dying. To me, the most interesting aspect of games like this is that because it's turn-based, the gameplay is purely strategic. I mean, you could have nothing but a nose and still beat ADOM. Every ounce of fun this game has to offer is derived from the effective...
This was a very shitty choice on the part of the person making the video, because my ears are like fucking hurting from the sounds of the speed-up footage.
Application of acquired knowledge, as well as contending against RNGesus. Actually getting that knowledge, however, is the real challenge, and it's only through...
Like, I get it, that was a cool visual. He should have muted the in-game audio for that effect not to come through so strongly.
Many deaths that you'll start to understand even an ounce of how to beat a game like this. I was going to script out this big wall of text talking about the many challenges and difficulties in getting into most roguelikes, but instead of that, I've decided to simply explain what I need to do when I'm trying to get an ultimate ending in ADOM. So I decided to make a Dark Elven Barbarian born on the Raven, Pick Alert, and Miser to unlock...
There's like endings and shit, that's interesting. I wonder what the story actually of ADOM is. I don't think he explained it yet.
treasure hunter and enter my name. The first thing I do is unequip one of the swords the game started me with because wielding 2 is way worse than just 1. Then I go to Lawin and Ulthethel and immediately obliterate a beggar. It'll make sense later, okay? Then I head over to Terranyo and grab the Elder's quest before heading down to the dungeon. This character didn't start with the healing skill, so this is almost necessary. We're desperate for any equipment that offers PV, which is armor and a direct reduction on damage received, and if you have below like 4 or 5, you'll just die to everything. If we go all the way to the bottom, we'll find the Mad Carpenter. Instead of killing him, we lead him to Gerard the Healer, who will turn him back to normal and teach us the healing skill as long as our alignment isn't chaotic, which I can rectify by offering 1 gold coin at a time to this neutral altar. As soon as I have healing, I head to another dungeon to save a girl's puppy. I don't care whether it lives or dies, I'm just here for the experience. There's ants on level 2, and I really want them to drop a corpse because eating it makes you vomit and permanently gives intrinsic acid resistance. Near the bottom, I find 7 league boots.
Okay, mental illness, the video game. Oh, that's so classic RPGs, man. Like, finding the like, yeah, even Fallouts and shit were doing some stupid shit made you, gave you unique traits that were really good.
Which are insanely rare to find this early.
But, like, this is already 10 times... Obviously 10 times more complicated than any Fallout.
Boots in the game, except they're cursed and make me move 50% slower, so trying desperately to avoid killing a cat, I run back to the altar and sacrifice enemies that stand on top of it until the neutral god is very pleased. I drop everything on the altar and that gives me holy water, which I can use to bless the boots and get the intended benefit of 25% less energy to move and extremely fast travel times on the overworld. Back in the puppy cave, the puppy is dead, but who cares? I give its corpse back to the girl and she cries, and now I'm strong enough to head into the main dungeon, the Caverns of Chaos. Chaos is scheming to take over the world from the depths of this dungeon, and it's up to us to stop it by closing the portal at the bottom.
Oh, so it's kind of a simple story, really.
There's this big room, and those green quotation marks are herbs. It's important to force them to grow in squares because they follow the rules of Conway's Game of Life, and a square is the easiest stable shape that won't cause them to wither and allows us to continuously pick them. I want Stomophilia, Spenceweed, Morgia roots, and Moss of Marilon. They can be used to raise certain stats and heal. Also,
literally fucking farming simulator pretending to be a dungeon crawler. That's kind of funny.
So there's another cat that I've got to get away from and lock it behind these doors because you really don't want to kill cats. Deeper in is the Dwarven City. We want to ask the Dwarven Elder about quests. He'll tell us to kill something random, and as soon as I do that, I'm given the Potion of Literacy, which will allow my illiterate barbarian to read. As soon as I can read, I dip the Scrolls of Identify I've found into my holy water and then read 1 to instantly identify everything in my inventory. If you didn't know how to bless water on an altar and then use that to bless items, well, looks like you're an idiot. We're given another quest to go deeper and traverse either the Dwarven Halls or the Animated Forest. The latter is annoying and requires high defense as well as patience, while the Dwarven Halls are an excellent place to die because they can spawn any monster, which usually results in getting insta-killed by a great karmic worm. So to improve my chances, I hang out in the big room until a blink dog spawns. They can summon more blink dogs, and so I wait around until they call in even more. Their corpse is very useful and will allow me to naturally control teleportation after eating it. I eventually get one, but also get a second corpse.
Makes sense, naturally.
I sell that to the shopkeeper in Dwarftown because corpses don't rot in stores. With Control Teleport, I can now go to the Dusty Dungeon and teleport using a teleport trap into the secret room to get the guaranteed Wand of Teleportation. With this, I can safely traverse the Dwarven Halls, but it's also an incredible tool for general survivability. Beyond that, we find Kelavaster, the Dying Sage. We need him to live, and despite being on the verge of death, he'll be fine as long as we don't talk to him. I complete the Dwarves quest and get the Wand of Fireballs. With this, we can safely take on the Pyramid on the Overworld, which will close permanently if we don't beat it before reaching level 17. There's many strong enemies at the top, and Rehetep is a formidable foe, but he's weak to fire and the wand will kill him almost instantly. He drops 2 artifacts. His Ankh makes you lucky, and his mummy wrapping is barely passable as early game armor, but we want it for the ice immunity and sea invisible intrinsics it offers. With that, we can confidently complete the dwarf's next quest to conquer the arena. You're stuck in a fight to the death, but the
holy shit, what a... This whole game is like a one giant knowledge check, basically. If you don't know where that item is that will help you defeat this boss, you are kinda fucked, I guess. Kinda wild, but also Holy, does it look like an interesting ass game.
Wand of teleportation will allow us to escape if we start losing, or to teleport out any cats that we're put up against. The 20th fight is often against an invisible opponent with ice magic, but we got the troll this time. We get the Golden Gladius as a reward and trade it to the Grizzled Gladiator in Dwarf Town to learn the tactics and backstabbing skills. The final quest is to kill a greater demon in the city, and we get an artifact for our efforts. With those out of the way, we can now ask him about a portal despite not seeing it yet because the Dying Sage is blocking the stairs to actually reach it. Regardless, he'll tell us to go kill a necromancer in this graveyard all the way over here. If you're immune to cold, Nonak's a pushover. What you want to do is defile this grave and get Nonak's sword. It sucks, but we can use it later. Also, make sure you search this hidden wall and get the elemental gauntlets. So yeah, roguelikes can be a little complicated, and all of that knowledge is written in blood. Either that or with liberal use of a wiki, but even if you're playing with a wiki open on another monitor, it won't save you because you don't know what you don't know. You've been watching this for a while, but even now there's no way you could guess which monster on this screen is the most dangerous. Is it the big black W? The brown Y? Well, if you guessed the black L, you're correct. That's an Emperor Lich, capable of killing you instantly with death rays, permanently draining your stats, summoning dozens of powerful monsters, and repeatedly healing itself to max HP. I know this because I've died to them before, but no observer has any chance of ascertaining anything implicitly. Unless you've played the game as much as me, you'll have zero reaction to me suddenly walking in on this giant crowd of Lich Kings, but immediately I'm given pause and decide to silently summon a door before they notice me. Despite being simple.
Okay, summon a door might be the greatest spell I have ever seen. Just like... And now I don't have to deal with that fucking... now I don't have to deal with that room. That's great, man. NetHack also... NetHack also had the weird strat of immediately summoning and sleeping with a succubus, because she would either give you a level up or a level down randomly for doing so. Yeah, see you later, Hariboneo, man. Thank you for joining the stream. And if you manage to listen on the go, that's great too. It's the Looney Tunes method. Yeah, it kinda fucking is, if you think about it. Man, games running on Looney Tunes logic are great.
Text, I've developed some very powerful affective responses to every enemy in the game, and that's one of the most interesting aspects to me. Even without sophisticated graphics, I'm immersed. I'm tired of acting like advanced graphics are necessary to create a compelling experience, but I will acquiesce that it does help with accessibility for reasons aforementioned. I'm probably not going to blow any minds when I say that accessibility is the main reason roguelikes remain an incredible niche.
I mean...
They're about as accessible as a brick wall, and the issues with conveyance definitely hinders their reach. You don't see many people streaming ADOM or most other roguelikes very often, and those who do are either already experienced with the game or doing it for an audience entirely comprised of other players. It's a very personal game, and no one but you will really understand it, because all of the interesting things here are going on inside of my head, and unless you're the government, you probably can't read that. Even though I think roguelikes are more popular now than ever, it just so happens that they've only ever been popular with massive nerds. If you don't implicitly enjoy learning things and challenging yourself, I'm not sure you could ever enjoy a traditional roguelike, but there's just something compelling about slowly learning and then applying your knowledge. That's probably why I ended up liking Factorio so much. It's a similar experience of feeling like you never stop learning and always being able to apply what you've learned in new and interesting ways. Since I found a Ring of the Fish, I decided to look for the hidden underwater staircase on the map. This place has several monsters that will instantly kill someone my level, but fortunately I can simply teleport to the middle and talk to the water dragon. I tell the baby water dragon where his mom is, and because I was born on the Raven, I get the rune-covered trident at level 16 instead of 36. The trident is reasonably powerful, so I take on Darkforge. It's guarded by several steel golems, which all have extremely high PV. Just to be safe, I use stair hopping to deal with them one at a time. Critical hits are the only way I can reliably deal damage to them. Critical hits deal double damage, and you only have a 5% chance to crit, but with Find Weakness it becomes a 24% chance. That might sound extremely good already, but the double damage is applied before the enemy's protection value, so if your max damage is 51 and your opponent has 50 PV, you will only ever be able to deal 1 damage because the rest gets negated. But if you crit, suddenly you'll swing for 102 damage and deal 52 damage. That's not double damage, that's 52 times the damage, so understandably against monsters like steel golems, having your chance to actually deal damage
That fucking find weakness is busted then. Holy shit. He wasn't fucking kidding that it's essential. Jesus Christ. There was a weird speedrun in Ocarina of Time that let you pull out a door from your inventory to place it against a wall. I didn't think to see it in a real use though. It's kind of funny.
Damage go from 1 in 20 to 1 in 4 is, pretty good. That's why you always play Dark Elves. Also, they have Alertness, a skill which lets you dodge traps 50% of the time and dodge most magical attacks for free. So yeah, coming with 2 of the best skills in the game regardless of your class is pretty convenient.
It sure
Dark
is.
Forge has these rooms filled with weapons and armor. You mainly check for any Red Dragon scale mail or Eternium plate armor, which is extremely useful for the next challenge. But the main reason I'm here are for these pools. I can't make any progress without saving Calavaster first, and the only way to do that is with an Amulet of Life Saving. It's an extremely rare item that you can play for hundreds of hours without seeing, but there is a way to get it, and that's wishing for it. But wishes don't come easy. To prepare, I switch to lawful alignment and sacrifice monsters until the god is very close to me. Also, there's this stupid cat I need to deal with. Getting your god very close will immediately reward you with the lucky
Did he just fucking lock that cat in a room?
and Fate Smiles intrinsics. It will also allow us to remove any doomed and cursed intrinsics. With that, I'm ready to start chugging pools. Immediately, I'm doomed. Do not chug pools while doomed. I don't have time to go into detail, but being doomed is bad. I run to the altar on the surface and cleanse myself, but then it's back to pools. Generally, drinking pools is a bad idea because the negative effects outweigh the positive, and suddenly I've lost the ability to control teleportation and I've become corrupted. Oh yeah, corruption. While you're playing, you're slowly being corrupted. The effects range from positive to...
I feel like I'm digesting Madman's knowledge in Bloodborne because, like, the longer I stare at this video, the symbols are becoming, like, things I can intuit and understand, and that kind of scares me because I never played a game with a tile set like this. Holy shit. Traditional roguelikes usually have skills that between completely busted and utterly useless. Yeah, that's literally every roguelike ever. Even the modern ones where in Risk of Rain or Binding of Isaacs, there are items that are literally never pick it up because it will fuck up your run, or if you get this item, you already won. The symbols are starting to speak to you. In fact, something being balanced is usually very rare. Kinda true.
benign to literally unplayable. If you reach 100% corruption, you die. And then it asks me what I'd like to wish for, and obviously it's got to be an amulet of life-saving. I got pretty lucky here. I only got doomed once and only had to drain like 7 pools. Also, this is why I saved that Blink Dog corpse, because I knew losing telecontrol is a major risk of pool chugging. I save Calavaster by giving him the amulet, and he gives you some items in return. Most notably, 6 scrolls of corruption removal, which I use. Now that his fat butt isn't blocking the staircase, I can venture deeper through this massive graveyard here, and then this area that I need to dig through the wall to access. It's a special area with a boss holding the Chaos Orb of Water, one of the 5 that we'll need to unlock the final boss. I'm strong, so I take it out no problem. Also, it helps if you've eaten a spider corpse to get poison resistance. Then there's this level filled with corpses. You should have some beeswax from kicking a beehive.
The shit he says casually, like, oh yeah, you should have eaten a spider to get the venom resistance. This cracks me up, man. I grew up playing this sort of thing, but there was, again, NetHack, but there was also an awesome fan-made Doom roguelike. Oh shit. So I can't go back to seeing symbols. Who makes a graveyard deep in a dungeon? Probably a necromancer. Nethacks get broken if you play as a woman, shapeshift into a basilisk, lay a bunch of eggs, then shapeshift back into a human and pick them up with gloves. Congrats, you have throwing eggs that insta-kill most things in the game. Huh. That's fucked up, but also brilliant.
So use it to plug your ears, because the Banshee will insta-kill you otherwise. Kill her, and now this is as deep as we can get because of an apparent wall of fire. Also, somehow I picked up a Wand of Wishing with 2 charges on it somewhere. This is a blessed run. We now need to go to the surface and tackle the Tower of Eternal Flames. It's the most challenging part of any run, and makes or breaks most attempts. Just to prepare, I drop anything that isn't an artifact or made out of adamantium or better, because they'll just melt. Things in my backpack will be protected as long as I have a fireproof blanket, but it's not foolproof. Rings are safe thanks to the elemental gauntlets covering them, but just standing inside this place causes me to constantly take heat damage with only 2 sources of fire resistance. Okay, while I go through here, hopefully you have some idea of how this game works by now, because what I really wanted to do in this video was complain. ADOM has some of the most bizarre balancing. Half of the class abilities are blatantly worthless. We're playing a barbarian, and here's his abilities. This one's great, these are okay, but these take longer than attacking twice or thrice to deal double or triple damage.
Mighty blows that cause double damage for the cost of 2,500 energy points. They can deliver tremendous blows that cause triple damage for the cost of 4,000 energy points.
Yeah, it can help bypass high PV enemies, but if you miss, you're just standing there like an idiot for 4 turns. And if you need to bypass PV, you're probably fighting something strong and will probably die if it crits you twice while you're helpless. So against anything weak, you don't need it, and anything strong just kills you because you're committed to standing around after you inevitably miss. These are even better. True Berserker is when you remove all of your armor and change your tactics to Berserk, which reduces your defenses even further. It almost feels like a prank, like, hey, go take off all your armor and attack that monster, it'll be great, trust me. I swear I remember reading a million years ago that at least back in 2002, the creator of ADOM couldn't even beat his own game, and maybe I hallucinated it because I couldn't find any sources for that, but it would explain so much. Like, here's the Weaponsmith. There's some alright abilities, but automatic metal type detection? You can tell what metal something is by how much it weighs. Every class can do that. And level 50, weapon damage identification. Let's ignore the fact that most characters don't even reach level 50 by the time they win, but even if you did, you're probably using an artifact weapon, so you don't care. And even then, you can just tell with a single scroll of Identify, or just by holding it. Fire immunity at level 32. I mean, it's not worthless, but you'd want it before the Tower of Eternal Flames. And at level 32, you're probably gearing up to beat the game already.
Yeah, that sounds like some... That sounds like a dev bizarrely unfamiliar with his own product. Like, who the fuck made the game then? The demons living inside his head? Like, his neighbor just came in and did like the second part of the game? That's so weird. The basilisk interactions in NetHack are a thing of legend. There's so many corner cases that it's insane. I mean, it sounds like you fucking touch a stone egg without a glove and you instantly die. Sounds like a problem. Google sucks so hard it's impossible to search for a lot of articles older than a few years. Fucking true, man. This is like when the XCOM devs got mad people were playing slowly and cautiously, so they added meld to get players to play faster. Imagine playing a fucking strategy game, a single player strategy game, cautiously and slowly, man. Nah, let's punish those motherfuckers. People from the Z dimension popped in for a second to do it, just to prank the creator of the game.
Which leads me to the fact that experience is kind of messed up because you'll be stuck in the 20s for about half the game, then suddenly shoot up to the 40s as soon as you can kill a certain 3 enemies. An Emperor Lich will give like 10,000 experience, but a Greater Moloch will give 150,000. And yeah, they're dangerous if you stand there, but they're so slow that you can hit them, walk backwards, and wait for them to move, and then hit them again. They'll never get a swing in. And you know, hands down, the most dangerous enemy in the game? It's not an Emperor Lich, it's not the final boss, it's not even the secret final boss or the super secret final boss, it's a goddamn ultimate doppelganger. They are indistinguishable from weaker doppelgangers and any other enemy that happens to share your color of Atmark, like cavemen in the case of barbarians. One lapse in concentration is all it takes for an endgame character to be instantly obliterated by one. They copy your DV and PV, your speed, always hit through your armor, and deal damage equal to 20% of your max HP. If that's not bad enough, they can still crit, and because the game is psychopathic, can spawn more experienced and attack more than once in one turn. It is almost impossible to kill one in melee, so all you can do as a melee character is go coward and use a wand of fireballs until it dies. And what does the bane of my existence give?
Jesus fucking Christ. And you need to like identify that it's that thing first. Holy shit. If they didn't want people to play it carefully, why does everyone perma die with only one hit? It's so weird when devs don't seem to know their own game. Also remember we are talking about XCOM. The fucking hit chance casino that can fuck you even if you played everything perfectly. I have a segment. I'm editing the Mechanicus video, you know, in my spare time now, and like I'm halfway done with it, and yeah, I have a segment talking about the fucking XCOM chance to hit bullshit.
Give like 5,000 experience. They used to be called Doppelganger Kings, and that tells me that the creator looked at one and was like, yeah, everything else is fine, but the name though? What's that? You want to hear about even more useless class abilities? Look no further than the Druid, because everything revolves around the overworld. You're only ever in the overworld to get from place to place. Being stronger but only in the wilderness is like having the ability to swim better but only when you're driving a car. And immunity to weather effects, there's only like one negative effect, and that's rain, which can ruin your scrolls, but a single cloak makes you immune, or even a waterproof blanket, which every run will eventually have, but apparently it's so good he thought the Ranger and the Elementalist should have it too. You might think that class abilities are just underwhelming, but no, look at the Archer. Every ability is incredible. Shooting faster, immune to enemy projectiles, piercing armor, shooting through enemies. Now that's a level 50 ability. And compare that with the Thief, who can go invisible when he's next to a wall, even though every other class can get permanent invisibility from a relatively common item. And all the endgame enemies can see through invisibility anyway. Then there's the skills, and for every skill like Find Weakness, you have something like Gemology or Woodcraft, almost entirely worthless.
But no, I'm 100% like bro came up with the viable classes first, and then he was like, okay, but I should have more classes in the game. So he just came up with some bullshit, and then probably was like, no, it's not that I came up with a bad class. Actually, it's a challenge run class. I do play XCOM aggressively and beat an XCOM to an Iron Man impossible, but I am insane. XCOM is a good game. It doesn't mean that XCOM doesn't have shit mechanics for some of the stuff in there. Because, like, you know, the team building aspect, the art, obviously, the strategic gameplay, that all of that shit is great, but, like, it has some, like, problems in other, you know, things. This is weird. The Ranger is usually useful, unlike D&D. To be fair, D&D also had this issue in the early editions. Sometimes you would get a basic +1 to hit at the same level another class gets permanent haste and the ability to instantly kill someone once per day. I remember looking for an info on a wiki on the reg for months on end to beat a lesser known title, then out of nowhere information on the game disappeared from the internet. After tracking down the owner of the wiki, it turns out that the hosting just ran out and he didn't notice because the site was more than 20 years old. Yeah, information loss is a nightmare for those older titles. True, man, true. That's why Steam is so fucking based, because if you are playing Mechanicus is so weirdly underground but it doesn't really need a guide. Mechanicus is very simple. But like when you want guides, even if you want to know what each class does, it's so hard to research Mechanicus. But if you go onto Steam and go into discussions and guides, you will easily find like what you are looking for. Steam is a godsend because of the community tabs. They are so fucking good for information preservation for games.
Or law, which is literally worthless because it only tells you that you did something unlawful after you've already done it. So even in the one instance...
So, yeah, since this game has like a Steam release now, you can bet your ass there are some people who wrote a great, passionate, long-ass guide on the Steam like guide section.
Where you're going for the paragon of law just to get the overpowered girdle at the end because you never did an unlawful act, it's still worthless. I could talk about this for literal hours going down the whole list. I'm going to try to contain my nerdiness, but I've wanted to complain about this stuff for over 20 years, and now I have an audience, so you're gonna carry this weight. Okay, so the Chaos Worm shows up, and thanks to my Ring of Mental Stability, I'm safe from his potentially devastating confusion attacks. I throw a cursed potion of invisibility at him to blind him before backstabbing him multiple times. The Chaos Orb of Fire is excellent because it gives us plus 10 to strength simply by holding it in the tool slot. Now I go northwest across these mountains and into this dungeon. At the bottom is this lake of killer fish. If you jump in, you will almost certainly die. Don't fight the Skeleton King without a Ring of Mental Stability either, because he can confuse you and you'll wander helplessly into the water and die. Once he's dead, use a Wand of Cold to build a bridge across, but drop everything first or else you'll be too heavy and the ice will break. That'll get us the Ring of the High Kings.
Again, man, this is some insane fucking bullshit, but I love it. I'm here for it, man. Mechanicus has weird classes that only become fantastic long ways in. Yeah, I have most of my review of Mechanicus is just talking about the mechanics because the story is like kind of nothing. So it's like presentation, music, obviously how faithful it is to 40k, and the big part is the gameplay. And like, I still think going full melee and the other class that goes only ranged is kind of a waste, because like instead of that you could just have free weapon attacks, but if you go full melee it's just one attack per turn, and that sucks because that robs you of so many actions you could take, you know. And besides, like, the two most powerful classes in Mechanicus, I think, like, is the guy who can summon troops for one skill point is so fucking insanely broken. And the other class that can cast canticles for free, because the game is over if you get that skill. You just get infinite cognition points and infinite healing. Full melee includes the arc weapons, although those might be from the DLC. Though, okay, I guess I didn't catch that, unless you are talking about the gadgets. I'm just not sure. But like for me, the most optimal strategy, they let you get 2 free attacks that have massive AoE. What the fuck? I don't remember that at all. I played with the DLC, but I still don't remember that at all. I mean, with the Heretic expansion. I guess I didn't explore that. But like, for me, the most optimal strategy was just have the most damaging weapons equipped in every single slot, because I had literally infinite cognition points. I could just spam away. I mean, shoulder mounted electric weapons that cost no cognition when charged. But like, the melee class gets a skill that only works if you have only melee weapon equipped, though. So I will have to like look it up post stream.
Back in the Caverns of Chaos, we can pass the Wall of Fire with the orb we just got, and then get past the Eternal Guardian standing on the stairs further below by wearing the ring from that lake. That leads us to the casino. Yes, the casino. The highlight is the shop filled with useless, overpriced garbage, and the ritual is to pick everything up, read a blessed scroll of identify, and then drop it all in a corner so you can conveniently skim through it all. And yep, everything sucks, so moving on. Deeper in is this special level where we can find the Cat Lord. He's friendly and gives us what is essentially the best artifact in the entire game, because we didn't kill any cats. If we had, he'd be hostile and stronger for every cat we've killed. Avoiding them is harder than it sounds, and he will—
That's such a niche-like thing to... Scourges count as a melee. What the fuck? I didn't know that. What? Hold on. And again, you literally cannot look anything worthwhile for Mechanicus, because it just goes into the tabletop. Considering the severe lack of melee weapons in the game, you would carry it through the whole game as your secondary weapon. So that kind of fucking sucks that this is a specific... this game has a problem that I talked about. If you build melee, you have only one action per turn, not counting gadgets. And they introduced a specific fucking... thing that solves this in this weapon, but it's like you need to kind of first of all have the DLC, second of all notice it. That's kind of bullshit, man. Yeah, I also thought melee only wasn't good, but I guess there is a way to build for it. But again, like, my endgame build just... I couldn't even get into melee range before everything was fucking dead, because I had, like, Castellan robot on top of the group of enemies with a flamethrower turn 1, and then, like, infinite fucking point generation, and then a guy in stealth just blasted with a crit damage, you know. It has some... Mechanicus is so fucking easy by the end of the game that your build kinda doesn't matter.
He'll annihilate anyone who's unprepared. But here's some things that he doesn't consider killing. Hiring someone else to kill them for you, repeatedly luring them over traps until they die, and corrupting them until they turn into writhing masses of primordial chaos, just to name a few. Doesn't matter if it used to be a cat, it's all good. Anyway, I could probably start beating the game right now, but I'm going for the ultimate ending. I head to Darkforge and grab the Crown of Science. Wearing it makes you doomed, which I abuse to get more wilderness encounters to find giant boars. I kill them until one drops a skull. Then I need to switch alignments, so I dig up some graves for free stuff and obliterate some innocent H's until I'm chaotic. And with that, I can now talk to the demented Ratling. He wants 6 artifacts, and I've got plenty of trash artifacts like the Sword of Nonak with me to feed him. He tells us the secret of how to get into the Stone Circle, but I'll do that later. Now I go to the mountain village and talk to Baba Yaga. If you're not chaotic, you can't do these quests. She wants the skull, then a scroll of danger, and some other things I've been holding on to just for this. It's best to do these quests earlier because it's difficult to change your alignment towards lawful if you're high level. That gives us the Medal of Chaos. It corrupts us by just having it in our inventory, so we'll just stash that away for later. I want to go back to lawful, so I drop everything and offer 1 coin at a time to a neutral altar. Because the gods are angry at me, they try to obliterate all my equipment, but I'm carrying nothing but artifacts, so I'm safe to slowly raise my alignment. Eventually I'm back to lawful, and soon enough, lawful...
That's such a... I have to say... Games like... Games like this... with like... evil... you know... a basic alignment, like you can be good, evil, chaotic, neutral, whatever. Doesn't it defeat the entire purpose of the fucking system if you introduce a shrine that can change your alignment whenever you want? Like, am I the only one who finds that kind of fucking annoying? Like, they made a system and they just didn't commit to it. So weird, but to be fair, you will, in every game like this, you will find a way to farm negative or positive points, so it almost never matters, so. I had a dude in stealth that never attacked and just gathered cognition points. I have a segment in my review where I discovered that certain equipment doesn't break stealth and there is damaging equipment, so you can have a whole team in perma-stealth and you can kill every single enemy in the level without them even doing any action. This would be good if Mechanicus wasn't so easy. I guess that's a trick that you can use in like Iron Man runs or something, but then again, spending so much time in the game is also not great because of the awakening meter, so... In the first 2 Baldur's Gate, you could donate a shitload of charity to change reputation, and that makes sense to me. If it's like a significant grind, as in you need to sacrifice a lot of equipment, then I guess it's fine. You do need to be prepared to change alignment because the gods would smite your ass otherwise. Yeah, there is also what he said that gods would destroy his equipment if he didn't unequip it, but he can unequip it and leave it on the ground, so...
Plus, it's like those murders never happened. Next, I drop my inventory on level 40 and dig my way in here. Inside is the Air Temple and the Master Summoner. As his name implies, he summons things, which can range from goblins to a dozen ultimate doppelgangers and emperor liches. Sometimes you just get really unlucky. We didn't, so he dies and drops the Orb of Air. I grab all my stuff.
RNG enemies are the worst, man. Holy.
Again, and immediately hit the Earth Temple. Everything here walks through walls, which is bad if you let yourself be surrounded, but we kill the ancient stone beast and get the Orb of Earth. I also eat its corpse. It massively corrupts me, but as a melee fighter, the strength and toughness it gives is worth it. And can I just say how absolutely deranged the player is? You can just go around devouring everything. Rats, goblins, humans, anything's fair game to this guy. You can eat an entire titan and still not be satisfied. Even a paragon of law can just consume a bandit right in front of all his friends like it's nothing. All of your calories are forfeit to this guy. Whatever, down here I get the message you feel truly excited, and doing a monster detection reveals it's a greater undead vault. Do not attempt to do one of these, the artifacts are not worth losing half of your stats to liches. Here's another vault, it's red dragons. Feel free to do these, and that gets me up to level 30. I go to the infested temple on the surface and kill all these greater claw bugs. I make it look easy, but these things will shred you apart and dodge every attack without an extremely high hit chance. Inside, I change my tactics to Coward and Wand of Fireballs them to death. Make sure you summon doors in all these gaps, because, bugs can't open doors. I need to kill tons of killer bugs, and walking into this place apparently killed so many noobs that the developer blocked off this whole area until you've died a total of 100 times. Inside the main room is a bunch of statues. Kick them apart, and we get some useful items. What I'm after are the 8 scrolls of magic mapping hidden in one. With those, I head over to the Minotaur maze, which closes after level 30. This isn't required, but I want the reward at the bottom. Okay, so to me, the appeal of roguelikes is that it's more about learning the game rather than memorizing it, and I think that concept will be compelling no matter where it crops up. When the original Rogue was developed for Unix machines in 1980, the procedural generation was more of a concession, or a sort of soft workaround to the severe memory limitations of—
Yeah, I did guess correctly that Rogue was literally like this.
Computers at the time.
I guess, I mean, I saw it like in a screenshot or whatever, I guess. That's more merciful than AD&D. If you change alignment, you lost a whole level. That seems quite a punishment for changing an alignment.
You simply couldn't fit a bunch of handmade levels into it. But if instead you left enough room in memory to hold one level at a time, as well as an algorithm capable of creating new levels on the fly, well, they inadvertently stumbled upon a very powerful gameplay mechanic. I'm not really a journalist, I'm just some nerd who talks about video games, so I'm not going to split hairs about the fact that Beneath Apple Manor was maybe a roguelike 2 years before Rogue was actually created, but the important thing is that each run of Rogue would be unique, and in a way that would keep people playing. Its concession for space would end up becoming its most powerful asset. Now, Rogue was stuck on mainframe computers for a while,
so
which limited
funny.
its reach to mostly university students, but eventually—
I didn't know that that's how the genre came to be, but it always is. It always is the fucking memory limitation that breeds the, like, coolest ideas you have ever seen in a video game, man.
Spread, and because it appealed to nerds, those nerds ended up spawning their own takes on the idea, with games like Hack and Moria, which were, you know, kind of like Rogue. Hack was a direct fork of Rogue, as I recall, and later spawned NetHack, which is, in my opinion, the quintessential roguelike. This isn't really meant to be a history lesson, I just wanted to highlight the fact that whether intentional or not, these gameplay philosophies have been so influential that we're still invoking the name of a game developed over 43 years ago that's made out of letters and runs on a toaster. Though even today, with our vastly superior computational technologies, modern roguelikes still evoke the same general style. I mean, games like Brogue have much nicer visuals, and many choose to use tile sets instead of ASCII, but it's still all roughly the same. It's not for nostalgia.
Oh, this fucking thing is also... You know what? I should have. But, like, when it comes to... what was it? Eleonora? I think it's called, right? It's just like... the game is so anime coded that I thought it's kind of meant to be played with this tile set. But yeah, I guess it is like a fucking... You could play this with just symbols tile set, I guess.
Instead of ASCII, but it's still all roughly the same. It's not for nostalgia. I mean, games such as Ion Fury deliberately use anachronistic game engines or styles in order to evoke an earlier era of gaming, but roguelikes have just always looked this way. It's because, despite their relative obscurity, no other genre can do what roguelikes do, and that is create the most complex and mechanically deep games known to man.
True.
Like, NetHack lets you wield the corpse of a cockatrice and smack things with it to turn them to stone, but if you smack a golem, it'll turn into the much more powerful stone golem. And if you throw it upwards without wearing a helmet, it'll fall on your head and petrify you. Step on a corpse while blind without boots, petrified. Step on it with boots but no gloves, petrified because you're also feeling your way through the dark. Seriously, the list of complex—
What? That's fucking crazy, man. Elona, yeah, I meant to say Elona.
Surrounding just the cockatrice is enormous, and that's one enemy. When you cast off such restraints as graphics, real-time physics, and what have you, you're left with a lot of time to develop about 1 million complex interactions and some billion edge cases. These kinds of games have always been a bit of a playground for nerds, and it attracts a similar audience. Its strength is that it's a genre where one dedicated developer with nothing more to leverage than their own effort can break into and create something you can play for hundreds of hours. It's partially due to the unique advantages of procedural generation to create a sort of multiplicative complexity, which holds true for the more modern so-called roguelites as well. But there's also the aforementioned simplicity. Also, sometimes programmers just enjoy playing around with algorithms. So what is arguably their greatest weakness, complexity and poor visuals, are also their greatest asset, and that's why they're still around. It's perfect for solo developers, especially nerds who aren't so great at that whole art thing. I mean, to make an enemy in a game like Elden Ring takes a team and hundreds of hours modeling and rigging and animating, but the process in a roguelike is something like... perfect. Alright, obviously it's a little bit more complicated than that, but just a little bit. I feel like roguelikes are gameplay mechanics distilled to their essence. This is why they haven't evolved much since their inception. It's kind of like the horseshoe crab. You can't improve upon perfection. Seriously though, they've always been niche, and they'll continue.
I mean, he ain't wrong though.
To be niche. But just like roguelites took the philosophy behind many roguelikes and added action and arcade elements, I think they'll always be an evolutionary hotbed for unique mechanics driven by one developer with a vision. Of course, even I'm using the term roguelike rather loosely, but that's another topic entirely. All in all, I'm not sure I would have been able to get into ADOM today, what with having a job and all. Sometimes getting into a roguelike is a big time investment, which some like Brogue attempt to simplify, but especially with attention spans of Zoomers eroding away into the microseconds thanks to TikTok and short-form video, it's easy to see why Rogue's more actiony namesakes have been flourishing as of late. But I think good games will always find an audience. At the bottom of the mazes is the King Minotaur. Kill him and get his axe. It has a base 40% chance to crit. Combined with Find Weakness and my cat ring, critting is almost guaranteed now.
Holy.
Normally I'd say that even with those bonuses, two-handed weapons suck and usually aren't worth the DV loss of not being able to use a shield, because doing less damage and not dying is generally preferable to the inverse. And in a game where for some reason all of the high-level enemies blatantly ignore your PV, dodging damage entirely with DV is extremely important. But I'm a barbarian. It's called role-playing. Sometimes, even if it's slightly worse, you gotta do it. I will need to train with it because all of my skill is in polearms, and that means I'll attack much slower because this whole table doesn't tell you that the main benefit of weapon skill is that it actually lowers the energy cost of attacking. Which is an incredibly important mechanic that's never explained properly, and the only way to actually see the energy cost of an action is...
I mean, ain't that the fucking classic games in a nutshell? Just wasn't explained. Then that's it. Might have been Cockatrice instead of Basilisk I was thinking about. I also thought Basilisk were a Cockatrice variant in NetHack, but I also haven't played in forever. I mean, like, but everybody gets the base idea anyway, so, you know.
To hit T and change the dynamic display in the lower right, and that's something you'd probably want to know about. Alright, back in the caverns, it's time to take on the Mana Temple. Detect traps really comes in handy here, but at the center is a bunch of stuff, and most notably, the Chaos Archmage. Make sure you're resistant to death rays, or else you'll, you know, die. Also, never step on these altars. You will instantly die if any chaotic creature is anywhere nearby. Get the orb, and we've got all 5. We could win right now, but again, we're doing the ultimate ending. So instead, we talk to the Ancient Karmic Worm and get his quest to kill the Ancient Blue Worm. I recommend dropping everything you care about that can blow up before going down, because he attacks you if you leave before killing the other worm, and you will lose half your inventory to the constant lightning breath of the blue dragons. Get to the bottom and kill him. He's not particularly hard to kill, and then we receive a massive pile of worthless junk, but also the artifact dagger Needle. It's important because the Assassin Prince at the bottom of the Dusty Dungeon we visited a million years ago will only give his quest if you're carrying it. Also, only if you're level 45, which basically means I need to pace around in circles in a high danger area waiting for greater Molochs to spawn, because, again, experience is kind of whack. His quest is on behalf of the Mad Minstrel, and he wants us to kill the Quickling Bard, who resides in the Infinite Dungeon on the level according to the number of kills you have on your first monster kill since starting the game. If you killed a goblin first, give up. You'll need to go down to level like 200 or something, which will take over 4 hours, assuming you don't just die to the incredibly high-level enemies down there. Except we killed a beggar, which never spawns anywhere else but that one town, and that means he's on the first level. He has a speed of 1,000 and a DV of like 5,000, so good.
That sucks, man. That sucks that you are punishing like a player at the very end of a fucking run for something they did at the very beginning of a run, even if it's like a secret ending, man. That fucking sucks.
Good luck hitting him in melee, but a single wand of fireballs will kill him instantly. Go tell the Mad Minstrel, and he'll reveal the location of a secret cave. The cave is very dangerous, spawning the strongest enemies in the game constantly at an incredible rate, but at the bottom is this psychedelic wonderland. This place has an insane level of background corruption, so we want to kill the Emperor Moloch as quick as possible. He's slow, just like all Molochs, and despite his 200 PV, I'm able to crit him to death with my Minotaur axe relatively painlessly, but for many characters, he's just straight up impossible to kill. He drops the seemingly worthless, crumpled scroll. Reading it, it's just a picture of a trident, but if we go back to Terranio and can see invisible, we'll be able to find Calavassar roaming around. If we give the scroll to him, he'll use it to summon the trident of the Red Rooster, the best weapon in the game. We're only missing one thing for the ultimate ending now, and that's waiting for the very specific day of the month called Dark Night, and then waiting until exactly 11 PM before attempting to enter the stone circle on the map. If you miss it, have fun.
Again, holy fuck, man. Holy fuck. Just read a guide, fucking nerd. Who the fuck figured this out first? Jesus Christ.
Waiting an entire month. By the way, this entire run up to this point is—
Oh, okay, it happens once in a month. I thought it happens like once in an in-game year and you have like have to wait 12 hours for the time to pass again. Jesus Christ. Once in a month is not that bad, but still, like, that specific time only, that's kinda crazy.
taken less than an in-game month. At that exact time, we'll be let in and allowed to fight the multi-headed Chaos Worm. He hits hard and likes to drain your stats several times in one turn, but throwing another cursed potion of invisibility at him puts a stop to that, and the trident takes him out pretty quickly. He drops the Crown of Chaos, and with that we've got the Trinity. I head over to my stash of items and grab the Amulet of Chaos. After some final preparation, like buffing my armor with scrolls of defense and dipping stacks of potions into other potions of exchange trying to turn them into potions of gain attributes, I'm ready for the final area. All the way at the bottom of the Caverns of Chaos, I take all 5 orbs and drop them into their special spots. The stairs turn around and lead down. There's this weird place that you need to throw items to move around, and if you throw a potion of uselessness, you'll get a free artifact. Further down is finally floor 50, and it's filled with several Servants of Chaos. I'm very powerful, and so they don't offer much of a challenge. I can take them all out by just holding down auto attack without a care. Even the Balors and the Greater Balor, which is the normal final boss, can't stand against the Trident, which is a Demon Slayer. Over here we have the Portal of Chaos. Ordinarily you'd pull the levers and shut it off, but we can do better. Because I'm a crowned champion of order, wielding the Trident of the Red Rooster, I can actually jump inside. Let me tell you, finally seeing this crazy garbled mess of text and colors was really special to me back in the day.
Holy shit, that's kinda awesome though. You will have to wait hundreds of hours in-game. Holy fuck, you can skip some time if you're just waiting though.
Trident keeps us from being ripped apart, and we encounter a certain person inside. It's Andor Drakon, the main antagonist, and someone most players can't even dream of seeing. And then we die because we weren't wearing the crown or the Medal of Chaos. Which brings me to save scumming. I saved before doing this, copied the save file, and then after dying, pasted it back into the folder. I wanted to demonstrate that despite taking 12 hours to get this far, if you didn't know that, you'd be back to square one. According to Steam achievements, 1.2% of players have gotten the ultimate ending of Law, and I guarantee you that number would be a lot lower without naughty save scummers. But it's a complicated topic. Even though I can beat Adam without...
I mean, also, besides even save scumming, some people have all the achievements in their Steam games just because they use an achievement unlocker. I don't understand it. It's such a fucking stupid thing to do, like unlock achievements, because to me, achievements are a good way to gauge how many people started a game and beaten it, but then it can be thrown a little bit into disarray because some fucking stupid idiots want to go like, look, I have this rare achievement for this game. Save scumming is an obligation. Yeah, save scumming is alright. You still beaten the game, you know. Just save scumming is like a little bit of a prevention on your part against the developer being a fucking asshole or having excessive amounts of RNG. But like, yeah, achievement unlocking is fucking stupid. Like, why?
Ever dying. When I was first learning, I save scummed a lot. If you don't allow it, apparently you're just supposed to accept the fact that you're going to need to sacrifice several high-level characters before you learn how to properly enter the Chaos Gate. Either that or you're supposed to look it up, which is always way less satisfying than learning it heuristically. But behold, the real final boss, Andor Drakon. Let me tell you, he's worthy of the title. If you don't know exactly what you're doing, you're probably gonna die, as demonstrated by me letting him paralyze me once, only to get perma-paralyzed helplessly until death, just in case I wasn't getting across how unforgiving this game is. It makes me feel dirty filling up my high score sheet with multiples of the same character, but it's for the video. This time, uncurse the crown and medal of chaos as soon as you're in, take them off, and wear an amulet of free action to get paralysis resistance if you haven't found an artifact that offers it already. Also, I've quaffed a bunch of stat-boosting potions, but the most useful thing I can do is use my 2 wishes from that wand I've been saving to wish for speed. That'll give me plus 200 bonus speed per wish temporarily on top of all of my potions of boost speed I've collected throughout this run just for this moment. Defeating Andor Drakon as a melee character without relying on massive speed boosts is very difficult. The atmosphere here is extremely corrupting, and unless you've got several cures on hand, it's often you'll die from the corruption alone. Again, these fights must be very boring to the casual observer. Eventually he dies. Make sure you're holding the trident when you kill him, otherwise you'll die too. He'll explode and you can collect your ultimate ending, ascending to demigod status. That's Adam, or at least it was. In the 2015 re-release, we got a bit more extra content, and another special endgame challenge. I decided to take it on with an archer this time. Now, I said that the definition of roguelike was another topic entirely, and now it is another topic entirely, so let's talk about it. So, what the heck is a roguelike? Well,
a miserable little pile of tires. But enough talk. Have at you. Same scumming is a time skip in redoing everything you previously did. Yeah, like, when you already learn a certain thing, it's kinda shitty that sometimes there are knowledge checks that instantly kill you in games like this, because then it becomes like, oh, I have to redo everything I know how to do already just to get to that one part that I don't know yet, which is, you know, fucking stupid. I only save scammed when emulating 007 Nightfire for the underwater section. I don't know what that game is, but you just mentioning that it's an underwater section, all is forgiven.
Quite frankly, I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. In 2008, a group of nerds at a roguelike conference got together and tried to create a rigid definition. And keep in mind that this is years before Binding of Isaac or FTL, so even back then no one knew. Anyway, they created the so-called Berlin interpretation, because the conference was at Berlin, Germany. It's quite strict, yet despite that explicitly says just because it's all of these doesn't mean it's a roguelike, and just because it isn't doesn't mean it's not. So, so much for that. It's something at least. However, I played a little bit of this cool project called Lone Spelunker. It's got ASCII graphics, it's tile-based, turn-based, and has a million keyboard commands. It smells like a roguelike, but it's not even procedurally generated. It's based on actual caves and gives you little facts about them as you explore. I mean, is this a roguelike? I don't know, probably not, but it's certainly got roguelike elements, and it makes me think of roguelikes. And therein lies the problem. It's this complicated conflict between the semantic meaning of being like rogue versus roguelike as a literal interpretation of its core gameplay elements. Lone Spelunker is like rogue, but it is not a roguelike. And that's fair, but according to the literal Berlin interpretation...
That's... yeah... semantically, that's a funny thing to, like, say. So they got together to make a definition that's not a definition. Great use of great use of everyone's time.
You could make an RPG game with ASCII graphics, permadeath, and procedural generation that was tile-based and turn-based, but because it was about, say, commanding a legion of undead to take over the world, it wouldn't be a roguelike. It would be a strategy game, presumably, even though calling it a roguelike would be much more descriptive. But even then, what's a true roguelike but a dungeon crawler? The issue is that the gameplay philosophies popularized by the original Rogue and its many likes are so ubiquitous and influential that it's difficult not to think of it when you're invoking things such as permadeath and proc-gen. I mean, if that's the defining feature of your game...
I fucking hate the sections where he has this gameplay speed up in the background because it hurts my ears so fucking much, man.
What else are you supposed to call it? It's all this big semantic soup which has no right or wrong answer.
If you're ever doing Kids, if you're ever doing a video for YouTube, please check, please run through your video with headphones on to see if there is something like that will actually ruin your fucking hearing before you render it.
Because you can infinitely subdivide definitions at your convenience. But language isn't really concerned with epistemological rigidity, it's about conveying information. And if the desired information can be conveyed efficiently with an existing term, well, I think that term will dominate, even if its original meaning ends up stretched or altered. I will admit, however, that it's gotten a little overstretched. I mean, at this point, you might as well call Factorio a roguelike, or real life, since, you know, it's got permadeath and was procedurally generated with algorithms so fancy we're yet to decompile them. So I can understand the desire to want to wrest back some control over the term. But I think the Berlin interpretation is needlessly restrictive and doesn't really solve anything that slapping the word traditional in front of it can't accomplish. But of course, that means you couldn't be pedantic about it anymore, and sometimes that appears to be the end goal. To me, the biggest defining factor of the more modern quote-unquote roguelikes is the addition of action to the traditional roguelike elements. You simplify the controls as well as the mechanics, improve the conveyance, and pick up the pace while still retaining the procedural generation, permadeath, and core philosophy of slowly gaining knowledge or skill across multiple runs so that you learn the game instead of memorizing it. If it's got all that, then just...
Please don't tell me the rest of this video is just like that.
Say, and go ahead and call that a traditional roguelike, Isaac-like, and that's so 3-page. No, that to the spin here, you'll get his
okay.
Ever from a gameplay standpoint, I can't... Anyway...
I'm just gonna skip that round because I fucking can't listen to that anymore. Holy.
The new content in ADOM, you need to make sure to talk to the Dwarven Elder about Rolf before completing his quests.
And I'm not talking about the rant, everything he says about roguelikes is actually fucking interesting, and that's the shame of it, but like the background noise is just ruining the experience, so...
He's guaranteed to give you Rolf's axe, and if you talk to the Dwarven Mystic in here, you'll get his shield. Then you need to assemble all 6 parts of a map. It's really tedious, so I'm not going to bother explaining it. Okay, put that together and you get access to Rolf's fortress. If you have auto pickup on, everything will try to obliterate you because for some reason picking up their garbage is worthy of death, but walking in isn't. You enter this big hall with tons of enemies trying to get at Rolf, but are blocked by some magical force. And guess what? It blocks you as well if you've ever killed a dwarf. Usually it's not an issue because they're not hostile when you're lawful, but sometimes you don't even realize you killed one because they can spawn hostile in special vaults. So the entire point of my previous run role-playing as a dwarven weaponsmith was completely moot, and I had to start over with this archer because I didn't know that little tidbit of information, and restarting was punishment for my foolishness of wanting to experience the new stuff without looking anything up.
Ah, yes. Classic roguelike experience.
See, I'm showing rather than telling you that sometimes this kind of trial and error gameplay can be really annoying.
Yep.
Okay, so you go inside and you meet Rolf. If you give him his axe and his shield back, he'll give you a quest to slay the Stone Dragon King. His lair is super dark and he can do lots of damage with his stone breath, but as an archer you can cheat a bit and shoot dragons from places where their breath attack can't reach, since it's only a straight line in one of the 8 directions. If you kill him, he'll drop his heart, and you can go give that to Rolf and get an upgraded version of the axe and shield you gave him. Which are good, but what's really funny is that if you use it while carrying the Chaos Orb of Elemental Fire, you'll corrupt it and cause the apocalypse. The map starts getting covered with mountains and volcanoes start to appear, and Rolf is like, "You started the apocalypse, you idiot," and then says something about true love or whatever. Inside the volcanoes is just a bunch of caves as well as some magma, which you can swim through like it's nothing with fire immunity, but if you don't have the swimming skill, you'll still drown. So you're supposed to, but
that's actually hilarious, man. I think the process of accessing FromSoft's DLC was inspired by ADOM quests. Maybe, but like that didn't translate well into that fucking stupid Artorias of the Abyss DLC from Dark Souls 1. Holy shit, man. Stone Dragon King. More games need a game names like that. Oh yeah, agree. The ultimate night terror, the Dragon King, Abla Zulabla, the Immortal. Hey, Terraria had the same thing. For what? I mean, I ask for what specifically, but oh, you mean the drowning? Yeah. You get the potion that makes you immune to lava, then you drown inside it. Kinda true, yeah. I thought you were talking about... Terraria also had like a lot of very specific things you needed to do to unlock certain bosses that were very hard to figure out if you didn't look it up.
2 and 2 together that the random drunk guy in Terranio who keeps complaining about his wife is actually the ex-husband of the Ice Queen, and that if you find this super secret room filled with ancient booze in Rolf's fortress, you can give it to him to get him as a companion. Then if you bring him all the way across the map to the Ice Queen's domain and bring him all the way through her annoying castle and to her throne room, when they meet you'll learn that apparently she thought he was dead and so he was cursed to be a drunken idiot. She undoes the spell and he turns into the Archmage, and they're so in love that all the ice leaves her body and cools down all the volcanoes around and stops the apocalypse. Hooray. So that's the main thing, but if you really want to get to the secret content, you need to go to the bottom of the Minotaur maze, find the weird fire starter, and hold on to that thing until you beat the game normally. Instead of going inside the Chaos Portal, I just close it normally and then climb all the way back up. Instead of leaving and winning, if you go over to a dormant volcano and use the weird fire starter, you can summon the Ultimate Dungeon. It's just another 10 levels of random dungeon with a very high danger level and very experienced monsters, but at the bottom is this big hall. There's several scary monsters down here and they're all extremely experienced, meaning that they're much more dangerous than normal. But I'm an archer, the strongest class in the game. There's tons of Molochs and even an Emperor Moloch, but really they stand no chance. Finally I see the final opponent, the Supreme Balor. He's got tons of HP, deals tons of damage, and attacks several times at once, but that's nothing a blessed arrow of demon slaying can't solve. Yeah, archers. They don't crit like melee characters. They can deal double, triple, up to quintuple damage on a really good shot. So I knock him down to half HP with just a single good crit.
Jesus
he dies
Christ.
and drops the Scroll of Omniscience, which does nothing. It's completely unreadable and probably some placeholder for future content. But just like it was after 2002, ADOM development seems to have entered a bit of a stasis. I sacrificed it to my god for fun and then leave, concluding another 15-hour run I did just for this video. That's about everything, really.
That's kinda unsatisfying that it's not even like an ending or a thing, you know? Do you at least get a Steam achievement or something? Man... Tell you what, I don't think it's fair to do this. Like, you have a whole dungeon and like a secret boss, and it's all just a placeholder. The reward is a placeholder item. I think like that content should only be accessible when it's fully fleshed out. So like, you know, you go down there, you read a scroll, and then it's like one of the secret endings for like other, you know, maybe for other alignments, because he had like a super heroic alignment ending with slaying that guy in the Chaos Realm or whatever.
Except for the run where I played as a wizard and wanted to demonstrate how to get infinite wishes by going to the sinister library of Niltrias and getting the Wish spellbook. Except the wish costs so much to cast at first that you're required to use your health as mana, and I thought I had enough, but I starved to death because it reduces satiation to use your health, and I thought I ate a Blesstomophilia herb, but it was actually cursed and I didn't have enough food and died. Imagine opening the door to find the emaciated remains of the most powerful wizard in the realm and wondering what the hell happened. And that was 20 hours down the drain because I'm an idiot. And then I decided to do it all again, only to write this script and decide that it didn't quite fit anywhere except for here as an expression of pain. So yeah, I can wish as many times as I want. Woohoo. I could go on and on with my criticisms of this game, like how the Fire Orb has its own really cool area on the overworld, while all the others are just kind of lame offshoots of the main dungeon. But this video's not about that. I just wanted to talk about roguelikes as a whole, with ADOM as a prominent example. Yes, roguelikes have always had a special place in my heart, and even though this video won't have the broadest appeal, I hope I've given you some kind of appreciation for them too. Even if you're not ready to dive into the ASCII graphics quite yet, maybe next time you start up a run of what have you, you'll think about all of those beautiful ASCII characters that paved the way before. Seriously.
I mean, this fucking game seems great, man. Like, I probably would play with tile sets, but I definitely like need to look into giving this a shot because it sounds fucking cool.
Get into roguelikes. Get into roguelike development. They take a hell of a lot of effort to get into, but I played 100 hours of ADOM to make this video and the time just flew by. You don't need fancy graphics to make something compelling, you just need something fun. Honestly, Breath of the Wild started out as a top-down game to experiment with its mechanics, so if you got an idea for a neat little game mechanic, maybe throw it together like a roguelike. Anyway, I've got to thank my lovely patrons who indulge me in making these videos before I'm sent back to the Factorio mines. I'll see you all again later. Oh wait, there's actually one more secret ending. If you read a scroll of entropy next to Andor Dracon, it gets turned into nothingness, and then the entire world starts collapsing as everything gets sucked.
Jesus fucking Christ. That's just a game that keeps... that's just a game that keeps on giving. Oh my god. And yeah, that was a game called ADOM and the Legacy of Roguelikes by a channel I keep forgetting the name of. Doshington. In my defense, that's kind of a you know, it's kind of a very weird nickname that is hard to remember, but this sounds like it has a problem where you play it before the sun rises and finish after the sun sets. Yeah, just like time turns into a fucking liquid spilling into a desert, man. It just goes by like this. Holy. Cool game, cool video. Yeah, definitely. My curiosity was kinda satiated. I thought he's gonna go more into the general history of roguelikes, but that's okay. Just talking about ADOM is enough. And like, what a crazy game for crazy people, man. That was fucking good. And if you're watching later on YouTube, thank you for sitting, like, however, this video is gonna be so long. Thank you for sitting with me for however long this took. My god, that was a lot of looking at the symbols and they started speaking to me midway through, which is a curse and a blessing at the same time. And yeah, thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next one, whatever that video might be. And on the stream, I'm gonna take a short little break and more than an hour, easily more than an hour. On the stream, I'm gonna take a short little break and come back and we're gonna do the last video. I thought we're gonna fit in 4 videos, but there is no fucking way we're getting through another 40 minutes video, so Yeah, why is it? So yeah, we're just gonna wrap it up with short and sweet, you know, Metal Fatigue review. And that's gonna be it. So yeah, let me excuse me while I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. boys and girls, if there are any. I got a, like, lately I've been checking out the channel statistics, and I need to stop saying guys or just gentlemen, because apparently in like last month, actually some ladies started watching the channel. Obviously a small percentage is the opposite gender, but like now I gotta stop saying guys and gentlemen and include all others who might be listening, which is pretty funny. And I might be mentally ill. This is unrelated to what I just said previously. I might be mentally ill because I was sitting down. I looked at my fucking phone, which just has the live stream and the live stream and the chat naturally. And like I was looking at it to see the messages, and I briefly just saw the Red Hawk, which is a username obviously in the chat, and I thought somebody wrote Hack2A in the chat for some reason. I'm fucking mentally ill. That stupid meme is following me, man. Oh my god, I've been exposed to it so much because Northern Lion keeps fucking making fun of Hack2A. And yeah, Jesus Christ. Can't tell what you've been watching. Yeah, brain rot. Northern Lion has some great fucking content, but like, just because it's great content doesn't mean it doesn't rot your fucking brain too. Time to get political, aka talking about whatever is outside my personal interest. Speaking of getting political, holy fuck, I seen like on a Discord I am in like a memes channel, there was somebody shared a screenshot of, there is like a group on Steam that recommends non-political games, and some of the shit they write is insane. Him accidentally making the SS symbol lives rent-free in my head. Yeah, that clip is fucking great. And he couldn't delete it. And like, there's a group on Steam that reviews, Steam Curator group that reviews video games. Oh, by the way, if you guys are interested, I gotta share this real quick. Hold on, where is it? It's like Steam Curator. God fucking damn it. Okay, let me try this, and then this, and this should be it. Okay, so yeah, I have a Steam Curator group for those of you interested. It's just called Strawberrynos Reviews, and the link is in the description of most of my videos if you wanna see what I've been up to lately. And yeah. Basically, it's just whatever I've been playing in my spare time in the backlog, and trying to give it like an actual real review instead of what most Steam Curator groups fucking are, which is just posting like a single fucking line of review that is like, oh, thumbs up, or it has this or it has that. Like Steam Curator reviews are so fucking bad. The only one I really follow is Yahtzee, the guy who made previously he was on Zero Punctuation, but he split from that like news website, and now he's doing Ramblomatic, I believe it's called. And like a majority of Steam Curator groups are so fucking worthless. It's just annoying. So anyway, this Steam group about finding non-political games, obviously Disco Elysium immediately got put on their not recommended list because I quote, they said the main character is gay. The main character is not gay. You can become gay if you roleplay as a gay character. It's a thought you can intuit in Disco Elysium. And like, that's kind of outing yourself if you're putting a review and you are like, oh, the main character is gay. No, my dude, you are gay. You made the character gay. My favorite reviews are still from Total War and Dark Tide. Those people who'd play for 2,000 hours and not recommend a game for lack of content. Oh yeah, man, that's a Steam classic. And then they said that Deus Ex is not the original Deus Ex is not political because it has no woke content. Which is kind of funny because isn't Deus Ex all about like the right wing is like full of extremists who want to control the entire fucking population of the world, and the left is literally noble rebel heroes. That's the entire fucking Deus Ex, dude. What the fuck? Being gay isn't political. Mandating away gay people is political. I say this as a straight guy who never played gay relationship in a game because I don't care. It's outside my interest. It's fucking exactly right. Like, that's the same as saying as Fallout New Vegas is... Dude, my Fallout New Vegas character is gay. He sucked a fucking dick for a weapon, man. Like, the game made me do it. It's an optional perk. It's for role-playing purposes. You can be fucking straight, gay, bisexual, whatever you want in New Vegas, man. It's like the entire fucking purpose of the perk system, and like saying that your character is gay, I think you're gay because you're role-playing a gay character, or I don't know, maybe you're curious. Like, that's so fucking funny for calling out that specific thing in Disco Elysium, because you could make some crazy ass case. It sounded with the accent like you said the gay made me do it. Oh man. You know, maybe that is what I said. No, that's not what I said. But like, yeah, that Steam group is really fucking funny, but it's also scary that there are people who say it like that. I get it, you might not like... Oh, wait. There was another good one. They called a game, I think some strategy game, woke, and they said they don't recommend it because there was an option to pick up a pride flag in the game for free in the they called balloons. They called fucking Balloons Tower Defense 6 woke and full of gay propaganda because there is a rainbow balloon, and you can also pick up a pride avatar in the shop for free. And they said it's full of woke gay propaganda because of that. Not my fucking monkeys! My monkeys became political! No! God! They got the fucking monkeys, man! Oh. Isn't that also the group that thinks there's a shadow cabal that is dedicated to ruining games because they think a consulting firm secretly runs gaming studios? Yeah, I think that's another group, but like it's maybe like their brother group. That conspiracy got real popular thanks to Asmongold, who genuinely believes it. Asmongold, oh, that's disappointing, man. I mean, Asmongold says some stupid fucking shit, but come on. I get it. There are games that are made like literally cringe because of the woke content. Like I think a lot of cringe in Forspoken comes from a place of woman empowerment, but it's made in the worst fucking possible way ever. I mean, Forspoken is just cringe. I don't care. I don't care if the character is ethnical or ethnical minority, or she's a woman, or if she would be trans or a man. Like, that game is just fucking cringe. So, like, I get not liking games because they feature certain elements, you know, but like trying to seek out a specific thing, like being able to equip for example, Dead by Daylight, right? Being able to equip multiple pride add-ons, like little like key ring, whatchamacallit. You know, just a thing is there are like specific cosmetics that reference pride, right? And it like speaks nothing about the game as a whole. There is like a gay character, multiple ones at this time maybe, but like that speaks nothing about the quality of it as a video game, you know? And it's so insane that people would go like, this game is woke because you can equip my fucking pride charm. Like, the game is about killing each other in a fucking forest with Michael Myers, man, and like people's head explode from a saw trap, you know? I mean, yeah, Dustborn and Forspoken are cringeworthy no matter where you stand politically. I'm not familiar with Dustborn, actually. Is that something new or what? But like, Forspoken is like so cringe, man. Like, I think I watched Only Plays like best of about Forspoken, and it's just the dialogue, and like the dialogue is written like not by a human. It's so weird, and there are random pauses in between dialogue. It's so fucking weird. Okay, Dustborn is some new thing that came out. What the fuck is that? Story driven. Okay, I'm sorry, but like scrolling through the trailer. Scrolling through the trailer for Dustborn, I am immediately getting hit with like, those character designs are mostly fine, this is weird, not because of the obvious makeup or the clothing, but like, why the golden hand? That doesn't go with anything. But like, I scrolled here to 41. What the fuck is this, bro? Don't tell me that's like the antagonist of this game or something. What kind of design is this? Oh my god. Holy shit. I have no idea what this fucking game is. It seems like very underground. So, but that design though. I mean, Y2K or Yeek is completely cringe too, and it has like almost no LGBTQ elements, you know? So, it sucks because I was looking at Space Marine 2, which looks great, and as soon as you see one of your squad mates is black guy and you talk to an Imperial Guard commander who's a woman, you know what the weirdest people will be harping about for weeks. Oh man, true. Did you know that black people and women don't exist in 40k? Look it up, nerd. It's almost like, brother, what the fuck? There are explicit, like, have they played the tabletop? The human race has always had a problem with sometimes looking too deep into some things. Yeah, sometimes it's just, the dialogue is just that bad. The designs are that bad, you know. There is a new game coming out by, I think, people who made Danganronpa, which is another kind of cringe, but Danganronpa is at least like kinda interesting, you know. It's cringe, but it's interesting cringe. So if you are into Danganronpa, I'm like, you're a fucking weeb, bro. But like, you know, there is a game, I think, coming out from them. I'm not sure if it's them. It's like it looks like an action thing. So imagine Danganronpa or Persona graphics, but like an action game. But the character designs are like the worst thing I have ever fucking seen in my entire life. It's like all mismatched color in the worst way possible. And I'm like immediately, what the fuck is this game? And that's all it takes for me to say a game is kind of not for me or like kind of looks bad. And then somebody will say, oh, it's because it has gay characters. What the fuck? It has gay characters? I don't know that. It just looks like shit, so I didn't even engage with it, man. I couldn't possibly care about the fucking gay characters in it. Dustborn comes off like when you have an author who's convinced their work is profound and they never get an outside opinion. Again, like Y2K or Yeek. Yeah, because every planet will have the exact same conditions as very small part of Earth, of course. It's almost like as if the setting of 40k is a horrible dystopia. Yeah, man. Bro, wait for them to find out that, like, do the Tyranids have a patriarchy? Because, like, Zerg in StarCraft are based on Tyranids, right? And Zerg have a patriarchy because it's matriarchy, because it's like the queens control everything, and then Kerrigan is like their Jesus fucking Christ. So wait till they find out there is a fucking possibly matriarchal race in 40k. Also, the group I was talking about before said Portal 2 is political and woke, and they don't recommend it because it has an allegory to matriarchy or something, and all female characters are presented as incompetent. That reading that Steam Curator page is gonna be my guilty pleasure forever. Holy shit. Okay, anyway, back to Metal Fatigue review by MandaloreGaming. We had our fun. You might argue that the Norn Queens make the Tyranids a matriarchy, I guess. It's hard to tell with a hive mind. So they're fucking communists too. Huh? Tyranids don't practice capitalism? Fucking dirty red commies. And they have queens. That sounds like woke propaganda to me, 40k selves. You're playing a woke tabletop. Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny going down those like holes in their logic. Metal Fatigue, a game I know nothing about other than it's an RTS, obviously, mecha RTS, I think, and it was developed by the people who made Alien vs Predator Extinction. The other thing, Mandalore has reviewed. So yeah. Metal Fatigue by MandaloreGaming. Let's check this out, honestly. Because I am always curious in those RTSs. Mandalore seems to know a lot of strategy games that are kinda underground. Metal Fatigue is probably not that underground, but I never heard about it personally other than Mandalore, so it's pretty underground still, even if not that much. Okay, that robot just lost an arm and then like picked it up, and that's cool. That's immediately very cool. Also, holy, the game is loud.
Metal Fatigue is a game that's not talked about too often. It came out in May of 2000, so we're just past the 20th anniversary now. It was also fairly difficult to get this one running properly. However, in 2018, the game was re-released by Night Dive Studios, and it's been pretty fixed up. For the most part, anyway. We still have to fix some things up, just like we used to. The in-game settings can't fix up the aspect ratio or the resolution, so you have to go online, and I'm just kidding. The re-release has a configuration tool right in the game directory, so that solves everything for now.
Thank God.
So let's move right into the game intro.
That's what I call a good-ass re-release. It's just an arm. You are right, like, whether I get into a heavy accident, that scene from JoJo where like Dio Brando loses a fucking leg, and he's like he talks to because he flew into a shop, and there's like a female clerk at the counter, like mortified by what she just saw, and he's like, "Fetch me my leg, human scum." He just fucking reattaches it. That's what I usually do when I get into a pretty bad accident, you know? This game has a wicked soundtrack, but half of it is missing for some reason. What? As in the re-release, or what happened exactly? For some reason, this game always reminded me of Steel Soldiers, but I think it's just the menus again. Not a game I have been not a game I have seen.
Archive 110763. Corporation exploration of nearby systems discovered no life forms, only the ruins of long-extinct civilizations and the technological artifacts of their conquerors, the Hedoth. Humanity adopted these, developing the Hedoth-based systems, including combots and overseers.
The what bots? What did she say, chat? The Man, I don't want a bot for that. Like, I'm not gonna speak. I can't speak. I will get in trouble.
Earth's three largest corporations, Rimtech, Milagro, and Europa Limited, formed an alliance to seek out these alien technologies. Eventually, their fleets discovered the Epsilon Andromeda system and the extensive Hedoth sites on 3 of its planets. Numerous survey teams were dispatched in the hope of finding the ultimate prize, functional Hedoth technology. Such a discovery would mean wealth and power beyond comprehension. And, as greed replaced the desire for cooperation, the alliance unraveled.
It's a simple premise. The main story revolves around the drama.
So it's like it's a mecha Dune, I guess. This bot starting a song from Penguin Zero channel. Oh yeah, I forgot about that song. Oh no, the Twitteroid's gonna be pissed when they find out. I mean, some people on Twitter will go into like rage whether you say literally anything. No matter your belief, no matter your political beliefs, like no matter what you say, you can literally say I like bread and somebody on Twitter will try to dox you and get you fired from your job, man. They use asteroids as bases. I honestly can say I've seen that before. For a second, I thought it's like kind of a camouflage thing.
The comprehension technology teams were the extent. Eventually, their fleets discovered the Epsilon and numerous survey teams.
Yeah, they just have a fucking base on there. That's so weird.
Were dispatched in the hope of finding the wealth and power beyond comprehension. And as greed replaced the
story revolves around the drama.
Wouldn't just a normal spaceship be a little bit more versatile? But yeah, that is a kind of a cool sci-fi idea.
Drama between 3 estranged brothers. They were all members of the unfortunately named Rimtech. Each of them is a combat robot pilot or combot. Usually they only find
Come on, man! Combots and Rimtech? Are they fucking kidding me? It's like they want me to not take this seriously. I'm fucking sorry. Which nationality made this game? Because if it's like some poor old Japanese folk not that into, not that into the slang, then I feel so sorry. But if this is anywhere from Europe or America, they had it coming. Hot take, social media was a mistake. I think like there are like actual studies that prove that this is not a hot take, that it leads to mental degradation. Obviously there are some benefits to social media, but this Rimtech seamen sail the endless black ocean in their combots. Fuck me.
Stuff, but today is different.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm not very what you must call it. I'm not very equipped to ponder the the benefits and drawbacks of social media. I'm too distracted by the Rimtech and their combots at the moment.
Because today, the middle Rimtech brother presses down just a little too hard and gets everyone into deep shit. An alien combat part is discovered, and they fight over which faction it should go to. This leads to the brothers being separated into the different factions. The oldest stays in Rimtech. I'm still not sure what Rimtech's all about, but I think they're supposed to be good. Good on the giant
Space Corpo, that's good. That would be a first.
giant space company scale at least. The youngest goes to Milagro. They're the bright red, super militarized warmongers of the system. They're deadly at short range, using fast-firing weapons like Gatling guns. The middle brother went to Naropa. They're very purple and very obsessed with the aliens. They even have a mysterious religion built around them, and they favor energy weapons and wait. Okay, so does this sound remarkably familiar? This is PlanetSide. The entire setup, the factions, it is strikingly familiar. The thing is, PlanetSide comes out 3 years after Metal Fatigue did. I did look around to try and find an official connection or maybe people who worked on both games, but I couldn't find any. So that's pretty weird. Anyway, each brother has their own campaign and they're supposed to be played in order, so I'm not going to go against that. But before I give you the full taste of Rimtech, veteran players may notice something. Let's start the campaign. Okay, a lot of you are still scratching your heads, but I'll get into it. It's time to talk about the presentation. Metal Fatigue is one of the earlier 3D RTS games. There had been a few others in the years before, but we're still solidly in the figuring it out stage. So that being said, a lot of this game is pretty damn ugly. There's not a lot of variety when it comes to environment visuals. You might be wondering why the game is in 3D at all. But there are interesting reasons for it, but that's more of a gameplay thing, so I'll hold off for now. The worst part by far is the UI. Instead of having unit stats and all that stuff in a panel on the bottom right, it's instead all the way down the left. Games like Total 9...
Oh my, that's not a great choice. '90s CG animation weirdly comforting. Yeah, and especially when it's a robot, you are like... feels like a trek back in time.
Annihilation did this too, but they'd at least put it on the same side of the screen as the panels. In Metal Fatigue, to make a building, you look up to the right, but then like down to the left to see the cost of it, and it's awkward to use. Then when I was looking up screenshots, I noticed that the panel was on the other side. Sure enough, there was an option to move it over. So that was my bad, but why was it the default? Panels were moving to the right in the genre, but I'm not sure. Even with that, the game still has a lot of issues in this front. Example, you can start building clicking on one worker, but if you grab a bunch of them at once, then you can't. A lot of little mundane annoyances like that. The text is also hard to read, which was apparently a problem back then too. I said the UI is the worst part, but it's not horrible, it was just being done better even back then. All the factions have the same vehicle types, but they did differentiate them a little bit, including visually. Like you have the Milagro tanks that are angular, blocky, and slow, compared to Naropa tanks that are strangely shaped, anti-gravity, and very quick. But the real stars of the game are the combots. They're custom built and each faction has their own unique parts, and you unlock more through the campaign. Different legs, arms, and torsos all look unique, and each faction does have a lot to choose from. They can specialize in ranged or melee combat, or you could give them multiple weapon systems. They're really good 3D models for this era, but best of all is the animation. When these mechs fight, they fight. This alone justifies it being 3D. The spectacle of these mech fights feed the dark, primal instincts that live in all of our hearts. These fights are worth watching rather than managing a fight somewhere else, too. With a well-placed shot or a slash, sometimes parts will fly off the combots. Combots are advanced war machines and can reapply them pretty easily, but you can take your enemy's parts, too. So being around to take an enemy's buzzsaw and kill him with it is important. Also keep in mind these mechs have a crew of people.
That's so fucking cool, man. Oh my god.
And they'll eject out when their mech goes down. Getting back to their base means they might crew another robot, so you need to give them the 6-story pile driver. A faction already had a lot of parts, but combat fields of battle can become graveyards of wealth and power. Your workers can retrieve them and bring them back to your base for reapplication or research. Slap the parts you salvaged back on your own mechs or manufacture them yourself. A faction in itself already had a good amount of variety, but now it can transcend that. The enemy AI is smart enough to scavenge your parts too, so it's not a one-way deal. So there's some visual greatness, but what about the audio?
That sounds alright.
Combat construction possible. Battle on surface.
Basically what I would expect, but at the same time I'm basically what I expect, but at the same time I'm looking at this from like a 2024 perspective, so maybe this was like groundbreaking at the time. But yeah, it all sounds kinda like it. I imagine it should.
Vehicle complete. Battle also underground.
I mean, I'd say it's early 2000s RTS soundscape. I thought a lot of the music was fairly generic, kind of like a knockoff Command & Conquer, but there was more to it. I did like the main theme of the game.
Yeah, that's a banger.
So I was disappointed when so much of the music was a fairly generic rock score.
That seems so out of place. I actually kinda love it.
Battle on surface.
Once again, it's not bad, it's just something I've heard better before. The Rimtech and Milagro campaigns were all like this, but then I got to the Naropa one and something changed.
Vehicle complete.
Unironically followed once as a soundtrack, like very atmospheric. You're walking through the fucking deserted part of the town.
Combat part completed.
Ooh. There we go, some more action and music. Power Rangers fucking ass themed, so what the hell?
This is different. Why is the music different? Well, the GOG version included about 20 tracks. I look online for a playlist, and yeah, there's about 20 tracks. So I figured it was a weird decision, but then I double-checked later. Rimtech has other music. Rimtech was using Milagro music the entire time. Here's what their music is supposed to sound like.
Completed. Combat part completed. Combat part completed.
Ooh.
Rimtech has an entire orchestral score, 10
This one is actually fucking good. Holy.
tracks, which are just not in the game.
Why?
Wasn't cut or anything, this was in the original version. Both the Steam and GOG versions are like this. The ball is fully in Night Dive's court in this one, and it's been dropped pretty hard. I appreciate the work Night Dive did getting it to run and fixing up bugs, but a third of the soundtrack is just gone. The re-release was 2 years ago, and it's still like this. Looking on forums, there were people making a stink about this, but apparently not enough to make a change worthwhile. I don't know what to say, really. If the abandonware version of a game has features that the one people pay for doesn't, then something's wrong. This is still the more stable version and a lot better to play, but I don't like having that kind of drawback. So the audio's okay with a missing soundtrack out of 10. What's really sad is this isn't even the worst case I know of. Quake 2 on Steam has no music. I'll never understand how this kind of thing happens.
Vehicle complete. Battle on surface.
And there goes the arm. Still have another one. When it comes to the gameplay, the combats aren't the only unique part of Metal Fatigue. Sure,
that's a shame, because that's some good music, man. That's some real good music.
the maps are all drab and look very, very similar to each other, but they have layers. Each map is really a stack of 3. You have the underground layer, your regular surface layer, and then above that the orbital or sky layer. 3 separate war fronts, and they have some interconnectivity. In the orbital layer, you can build on asteroids. Solar panels built up here will collect a lot more energy than on the ground. The hovering sky trucks can make it between the asteroids, but other than that you need an air force. Controlling space means controlling free passive income. There are only 2 air units, a fighter and a bomber. They can be built in the sky or on the surface and freely travel between both. A detail I thought was cool is that if an air unit dies up in the orbital layer, they'll crash down through it. So an orbital battle can mean jets and bombers crashing down to the surface and damaging buildings. Pretty neat. The underground layer can be expanded out through drill trucks. They build elevators that get down or access the surface again. It's usually a good idea to have some defenses down there immediately, because if you don't build, the enemy will. It's quite common for them to tunnel into your house and explode up in a horde of vehicles. There's energy lava down there, like on the surface, and that's it.
I mean, that's a good strategy, you know, to bypass defenses, so... It's probably because it was outsourced to a different composer and they couldn't work something out. I mean, yeah, I say that, but like music is often a victim of things like that. Licensing runs out, you know. The fucking composer doesn't wanna like asks for a insane amount of money to include his music in a re-release or something, so it's probably easier to just do it like this. So yeah, that's a shame.
Well, I take that back. There's the railgun that can shoot between the layers, and if you don't have point defense, you're in for a really bad time. The layers don't have enough going on. Sure, there are all kinds of cool flying mech builds you can make. They're better than regular air units because they don't die in a hit or two from a turret. So the sky is mainly robot fights just like the surface. Now, combats can't go underground, only vehicles can. And vehicles are horrendous. Tanks will die to defense turrets in droves, and artillery is supposed to counter them. Artillery is slow to move, slow to build, and still horribly weak compared to a robot. But for an underground attack, it's the best thing you have. Missile cars can shoot ground targets and targets in the air, but robots do that too. Those are all the damage-dealing ground units. There's also a truck that kills itself to temporarily stun a combat. So the vehicles are incredibly limited and just terrible against a giant robot. A single combat can wipe out entire divisions of your vehicles easily, even if the cost is way more. Even turrets that easily kill vehicles struggle to damage a combat. One can easily walk into a base and just start obliterating everything. Because the truth is, this is the robot fight game. The units around it are so generic and uninteresting that they seem like an afterthought. It only takes playing one fight in the No Robots Allowed underground layer to understand this. You effectively have tanks and artillery. Missiles aren't worth it and might hit the terrain, and yeah, that's a thing that happens. The vehicle pathfinding can get really bad on occasion, and it's not uncommon to find someone just flat out stuck. It's a little surprised these problems are barely seen in the giant robots, because the vehicles are designed to be munched by them. The units being implemented outside the robots was lacking, and ultimately the layer system doesn't feel like much more than a gimmick. It's a really interesting idea, there's just not enough units and features here to support it properly. In practice, it means in skirmish maps, you scout across the entire map trying to find the very last holdouts of the enemy. They'll pop out of the ground, start building, and teleport back up to the sky, and it's a mess. To its credit, I have seen the AI surrender in campaign battles. In skirmish, they seem a lot more willing to fight to the last man. Speaking of the campaign, how about the story? Is there anything out there or special about it?
Although war remained undeclared, it was an unacknowledged reality. Nuropa had quietly suffered Milagro raids in the past, but no longer. To Nuropa, the Cobb family of Milagro were infidels, using Hedoth technology in blasphemous ways.
No, not really. Gameplay-wise, you can upgrade combat crews between missions, so you have incentive to do little bonus missions to get better pilots, but that's really about it. You don't have trash-talking campaign enemies or really anything that compelling.
No,
at the very least, each...
That's a shame. That would be a strong thing to have in a mech-based game. Just have like a boss enemy that trash talks your entire fight. That would be amazing, man.
Each campaign does have a short cutscene at the end, so there is something to work towards. But for me, they're really not worth it. I wouldn't call it a bad game, it's a fairly average RTS for the era. It is notable for the interesting ideas that it had, and some RTS games that evolve them in different ways. Metal Fatigue is like a missing link between Total Annihilation and Supreme Commander, but it didn't actually evolve into Supreme Commander, it became like a strange offshoot orangutan or something. What's sad is I think this game was one really good expansion away from being a classic. If you add a few units to each faction, add some more interactivity between the layers, and fix some things up, yeah, this could have been something really special. This game is like being back home and finding an old box of toys in your attic, or maybe not even your toys. Like, oh man, Transformers, I wish I had these to play with as a kid. There is that awesome factor of having giant fighting robots, but everything around it isn't enough to carry it. I still like the ambition there was. So if you like this era of games or just want to play a bizarro Total Annihilation sequel, I could give it a light recommend, if you get it cheap. I've once again contacted the Polish Information Network, so you could get it for less than $2 on GOG for a while. Then I got to re-render the video today because they're just giving away Total Annihilation for free, so I'm gonna link that too because it's a much better game, but damn, I'm just torpedoing my own video. I had a lot of people asking me to make a video on this one, saying that it was a childhood game of theirs, but they weren't sure it held up so well. I can definitely confirm that now. Not horrible, not great, it's in that perfect awkward, area. So there'll be a much different mech game next time around. A pretty good one. A great one. I'll see you then.
Wait, Chat, why did the bots moan like that?
I did. They're gonna come back. I promise. Okay, we're at the end.
Rimtech continued to sue for peace, and Europa.
This is like, what if Siri narrated the Animatrix?
Damn. That's kind of sad. And yeah, that was Metal Fatigue by MandaloreGaming. Kind of a not that noteworthy game. I mean, the robots were fucking cool, man. Kinda wish this got like some kind of comeback, because those, like he said, those are some interesting ideas that could have been really great, you know. Total Annihilation was great. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. And that's kinda it. Not much to say about this one, honestly. Kind of the robots moan because it makes them more powerful. Oh yeah, that's the same way like they scream, you know. And they when they scream, they power up. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I wanted to watch the best looking game ever in quotations by Jacob Geller this stream too, but yeah, it's like the stream has been running for 3 hours 30 and there's no way I'm gonna get to I'm gonna get through like another video this long because I have other things to do today, sadly, and you know. Is this like how robots in Metal Gear moo at you? Exactly right. And like, remember, Metal Gears like do cool dinosaur noises to fucking power up before a fight. Psychological warfare, my ass. Yeah, why did they choose that mooing sound? Could have done something actually scary, you know. So anyway, this Jacob Geller video is gonna remain here for a next stream. I recommend Laserpig's video on Horton 229. It's fun and informative in my opinion. I will check that out, but like I said, now there's a queue of videos that have been recommended to me, so that might not make it to the next stream, but I will check them out and make a judgment call if they're like something that I would like to watch on stream. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for joining me, you know, and as always, you know, I will see you on the next stream, probably next weekend. Mooing because Kojima is the kind of guy to make zombie cyborg guitarist terrorist. Also a Brazilian guy who Brazilian double jumping guy. Kojima is fucking unhinged, but I love him for it. So yeah. See you next week.